Good evening, Twitchlets. My name is Mr. Twitchy, and I'm back again with another One Piece reaction video, this time chapter 1123. I am so excited to be caught up on a weekly basis for One Piece. I just got done doing 3 prolonged live streams, each 10 or 11 chapters each. It was a ride, both emotionally, physically. I was sweating. It was hot in here, but needless to say, I think we're just about done with Elbaf. I've had many conversations with my friend Vante. Hopefully he might be joining a little bit later today. And then we will get right into some very cool theory crafting that we've both been working on. So it has to do with what happened last chapter. So as a reminder, the 5 elder stars or planets, I guess they're now technically classified as, they were going after Straw Hat Bonnie. Straw Hat Bonnie. Getting a little bit ahead of myself. Going after Bonnie and the Straw Hats, and then also the giants that were trying to take them away from the island. Lilith is still alive for now. York might be assassinated, might be a double agent for the world government moving forward. Who's to say? There would be a Vegapunk on each side, and especially if you think about the 2 hemispheres of the brain, maybe one's a bit better in one area than the other. Just spitballing here. And then Emmett, the Iron Giant, uses Joy Boy's friendship from beyond the grave to save them. They have Hockey Infusion, which that's going to get a lot into the theory crafting later tonight. And they were able to get away because the magic pentagram circles that were drawn in Egghead, they disappeared. The Hockey, sent them back to where they came from. So now they're in Mary Joie, and Emu is pissed. So let me get a quick swig of water, and then I will get started on the chapter. Hopefully Vante and or my boy Sherm show up a little bit later so we can have some cool discussion about this. Okay, so as a reminder for anyone joining me for the first time, I almost exclusively like to read on the single page spread unless there's a double page. So let's get right into it. 1123, The Void Fortnight. That's an interesting title. Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage Volume 11, sentenced to eat Odin with the person they hate. Sentenced? I guess because she's a son of Kaido. Come in, Egghead. What's happening? Hey, wake up, says S. Snake. The Straw Hats are escaping. Doll as a child because Bonnie switched her back. Whoa, it's true. They're all knocked out, captains. No kidding? Was that even stronger than red hairs? There was no hostility to it. Haha, thank you, Giant Robo. Rawr. All right, double spread already. Cool. Then let's take advantage of their slumber and get the heck out of here. Hey, I like the sound of that. Let's get going, boys. Set sail to Elbaf. All right, Sunny's in the back. It looks paltry in comparison. All right, little Bonnie sleeping, hopefully on her dad. Hopefully he's alive. Zoro's a little bit tired. Usopp laughing. Chopper. Old man Luffy with... Is that Nami? Yeah, I think from the bust size. What you said back there just doesn't sit right with me, says Sanji. Was this what you wanted, Vegapunk? Was it? I couldn't hear everything, but you said some pretty outrageous stuff. He looks dead there, but I don't know. I'm not ready to give up on good old man Egghead. 2 weeks ago, Egghead. There's an abnormality in the numbers from the power plant? Yes, I'm certain of it. Look at the change in the particle number density and neutron flux. So I'm also guessing, like, who stole the mother flame? Was it York or was it maybe someone else? The amount of energy expenditure on the Seraphim has been inching upward. If that's a mistake in our calculations, it's a grave one. Huh? Wait, those aren't the numbers we confirmed, are they? The response rate is rising, but the power plant remains stable. Yes, which means that this data represent evidence that someone has stolen some of the mother flame. All of the numbers regarding the power plant have been carefully manipulated to look normal, and the only one who could pull off such a feat is Vegapunk. Was it Lilith? She's evil. I'm sorry to say that we're the only three with airtight alibis. The amount of energy that was siphoned off is vast. So is one of the remaining four then, like Lilith? And that's why you want us to put our brains on stealth mode? Okay. Yes. If this experience is shared with Punk Records, then the culprit will know we're onto them. 1 week ago, oh dear, I've identified the culprit. It's York. Nani? She's sleeping away. The information synced with Punk Records was all dummy memories. Even the video footage was faked from the cam snails along the infiltration route. But why? For what purpose? Also, forgive me, Lilith. I found evidence that the Sea Beast weapons were controlled as well. Traces of wiretapping white transponder snail usage detected. Found it. I've successfully recovered the data of this long-distance snail call. Zink. Dr. Vegapunk is studying the Void Sentry. Zink. A transmission to Mary Joie? No wonder Cypher Pole was coming to investigate so often. 6 days ago. They say the kingdom of Lelugia is gone. The details are unclear as of yet, but it can only be an omen. Pythagoras, keep a close eye on wireless transmissions and underground reservoir levels. I will. Do you think it's related to the stolen mother flame? I do. She must have used the Sea Beast weapons to transport it to the government. If I may speak without evidence to back it up, I'm certain the world government is in possession of an ancient weapon. Uranus. Okay, confirmation. I mean, technically we got confirmation previously, but it's good to hear him somewhat confirm it. They've used the mother flame York gave them to activate it. We will see the grisly results soon enough. I know in my heart it is true, but I cannot go public with it. This is all my fault. I never should have tried to isolate greed from the human mind. Do you think that we could apprehend York to keep her from causing more harm? No, it's already too late. Whatever York is after, it doesn't matter. Anyone who learns of the Void Sentry will be eliminated. By recklessly handing over the Mother Flame to them, York has demonstrated her potential value. We would never have done such a thing without thoroughly determining the purpose and safety of it first. There is still time for us to flee, Stella. Then I requasar an escape ship, one that will evacuate all the residents of Egghead. It is too late for us, however. Secret orders have already gone out to various naval branches. They will hound us to the very ends of the earth. and to die anywhere else would be to die in vain. More importantly, Egghead has facilities and tools that O'Hara did not 22 years ago. I have the means to maximize the reach of my voice. The closer I get, the darker it looms. Just what is the world government? If I must die, it won't be for nothing. Dodom. I'm sorry this had to happen to you. That's silly. We're both Vegapunk too, you know. We were thinking the same thing. Dodom. The only question, Stella, is what death will accomplish. Indeed. Okay, so are we actually going to see what happens to his brain? Is it starting to shrivel up? Is it kind of like preserved as like an external hard drive? I'm curious to see what happens to his actual brain now that the actual Stella body has passed, seemingly. There is one other thing we cannot afford to lose. The cloud plant that produces island clouds. Those clouds might be the foundation of humanity's survival after all. Oh. So a potential endgame for being able to survive another great flood. Interesting. And then we start thinking about I was reacting, or not reacting. I was not reacting to a reaction. I was watching a reaction from my boy Townsy, and he was saying something in his stream how one of his viewers was telling him to go back and read the cover story for Anaru and his escapade to the moon. I'm wondering if those people thought it would be a pointless endeavor, or maybe they didn't even have the technology to live in the clouds. But One Piece, even if the world were to go underwater as we know it, all of the islands, theoretically, there is no limit to how many cloud islands you could make. It would make everything underneath the surface of the clouds very dark and cold. But I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. All right, continuing on. Huh? What's the Stella doing here? Ah, York. Just doing what I always do. Giving the Mother Flame a little test run. If we can move this thing with it, it just might be the ideal energy source. That's true. I hope you finish your experiment soon. I do too. But that it stays incomplete is my only hope. 2 days ago. Go ahead, we're recording. Hello? Check, check. Is this on? Hello out there. Come in, world. I am Dr. Vegapunk, a humble genius scientist. They're going to be shocked by this, but it is the truth, and everyone has a right to know it. Clunk. No one will expect that the transponder snail is hidden within here, and now it's set up to transmit upon my death. And to prevent anyone else from learning that we have arranged this little trick, I will be erasing this event from our minds. It shows the three of them. However, this will come at the cost of many other memories, such as York's betrayal and theft of the Mother Flame, and the imminent threat to our lives. We will be startled anew by these things. Indeed, we will be frightened all over again. However, our plans will already have been laid, and the utter disaster that awaits just around the corner is none other than our ultimate triumph. Why am I here? This is the Memory Mass Testing Lab. Wait, this is my handwriting. Flip. Good morning, gentlemen. You will find that within your memory, there is now a void fortnight, but it was done of your own volition. There are many surprises in store for you, LOL. Huh? But I will leave you with one piece of information. The world government knows about your research into the Void Century. What? They do? Bug eyes. But rest assured that you've already put together the perfect countermeasure before you hurtle towards your glorious death. And one more thing. Death? Whose? Mine? Stella, Straw Hat, the Emperor of the Sea, has just landed here with Bonnie. What? CP6 has landed. What? We're surrounded by Navy battleships. What? It's Admiral Kizaru and Saint Saturn. What? I want you to know, though we're going down to save Bonnie, I intend to remain down there. Huh? But you'll die. I don't want you to save me. Just leave me down there to perish. Huh? You got a death wish or something? Certainly not. But I feel like my death might cause something to happen. It sure will. A bunch of people will be upset. I can't just let you die. Pretty please? And one other thing. Rawr! When it comes to the One Piece, what now? I want your crew to be the ones who get it. A toast to reuniting with old friends. Now, lahur, onward to Elbaf, onward to my dream. Ga ba 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 ba. Yeah, ga, 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 ga. All right, Usopp front and center. That's that's Luffy saying. All right. Super death flag for Usopp because of him being held up by giants. We know God Usopp last time. Thank you, Vante, for reminding people to like the stream if you are watching, and welcome. Thank you for joining.
Yellow. Yeah, this is a cool wrap up of the arc. Vegapunk, shout out to Vegapunk. I think Oda did a great job with him.
In some cases, I really do not like memory manipulation, but it makes sense in this regard with him being as smart as he was, that he would trust himself if he erased his own memories and then decided to wake up to a letter of his own handwriting.
I actually like stuff like that. I don't know, it's kind of cool. Like,
I feel like it can be a bit of a cop out. That's the reason why I don't typically
oh
like
yeah,
it.
in some cases, yeah. I just feel like this is one of those things where it's like big brain, literally and figuratively, it just fits his whole theme as a character.
Yeah.
And it was funny too. Like, it was like, what? All these people are coming to X? What the hell? That's gonna be hilarious hearing that in anime. The voice acting, they're like, what?
Now I'm guessing Emmett is now slumbering once more. Is that the same impression you got?
Yeah, yeah.
Back to sleep. And I do also like the very dark but purposeful veiling over Vegapunk's Stella body eyes.
Yeah, I like that a lot too. And that was like confirmation. Oh, yeah, he's going. He's going.
Like, I know Oda is famous for not killing his characters, but almost always when he does decide to kill them, it is done correctly or properly.
Yeah. Like you could easily tell just by the vibe, just how they look. Most of the time, they look kind of calm, not distressed. I mean, I know you can't really look distressed when you're dead, but you get what I mean. Like,
sure,
Ace with a smile, Whitebeard standing up strong, just still looking the same. The eyes are darkened, and then, like you said, with Vegapunk, like top of his head, like a veil or a little shadow. So yeah, and that was cool too. The whole Sanji thing. 'Cause I remember people at during the time when I think when he got stabbed, people were like, "Damn, like okay, what happened there?" Because it was kind of out of nowhere when Saturn did that, and then seeing this in this chapter where see Sanji coming up to him, and then my friend, I gotta go back, but I thought that was pretty cool.
No, it's just more subtle writing for Sanji. Unfortunately, Oda seems to like to camouflage his actual emotions or like good writing for his character with these sexual gags. And I understand Oda likes his gags as much as the next guy, but to me, you don't always need to do that. You can just write a good character. It doesn't need to be veiled by any sort of gag.
He legitimately could be one of my favorite characters in the series if he didn't have that gag.
Or even
At
if
least
it was
not in
just
that
like
way.
more toned down. Like
Yeah,
I
toned
thought
down.
after his interaction with Pudding and Whole Cake that he would just kind of calm it down a little bit, but not really.
Like, remember when we were reacting to the One Piece live action? I was like, it would be cool just to see him think that, oh, he's good with the ladies, he got game, and he doesn't. Like that, as simple as that is good because at least he's not like it's not like an over the top like lusting. He's just bad at trying to get with women they reject. That would be a better gag, because we
He
see it
thinks
all the
he's
time. Guys be
suave,
going to him.
but it's not
Yeah,
working.
yeah, that works, and he doesn't even have to do that all the time either. It's just toning it down, like you said, in general, would have done him better. Because I really think he like. I'm just thinking. Okay, so if I were taking away his gag, like all that from his character, he legitimately is like a respectively like a top 10 character for me.
Yeah.
But he's low because of it's like it's too much. It's way too much.
Now, I'm assuming you were here, but you might have missed it. I made a comment about the satellite Egghead's brain that's kind of in that little circular preservation vat. Do you think that's still there? Do you think that's now off? I kind of got the impression that it's still there and it's still a wealth of knowledge that could be tapped into for.
Yep, I think he essentially will achieve his dream. Probably not in the way he would have. Well, actually, he kind of did say it would be like that, but not. I don't know if it was like literally he was going to like allow his brain to be like the I guess you could say like the mainframe of all knowledge.
Humanity's knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it probably will be like a mainstay. Plus, in this series, there's a lot of like crazy, whether it's like architecture or something grandiose. And I mean, it sounds like Oda to do something like that. A literal man's brain being alive, and whatever happens on Egghead, like if they move it somewhere else or something, I think it still would be alive as long as it's in that tank.
Which is a problem because I feel like York is going to now be tasked by the Celestial Dragons to consistently research into that treasure trove of information. And I don't think she's ever going to be a Celestial Dragon at this point with how Egghead, the arc, turned out. But two, I feel like she's going to hate it even more because she's the only one there. She can't do all the sleeping. She has to be the one in charge.
Is Lilith still alive, or did I miss that?
No, I think she is, but I think she's now on our ship.
Was she? I didn't peep her in the panel.
I'll have to go back, but I'm pretty sure that Lilith is now with us on one of the two ships.
See, now that's somebody that should stay. Not Yamato. That's the person that should stay there. Just in case like she needs to like get stuff to like evacuate or something, stuff like that, But,
well, I could see her as kind of I'm not going to say the quintessential, but now she's like the metaphorical sensei or mentor to Frankie for all of his various creations and whatnot.
See, that's another thing. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think it's bad on Oda. I think it's just like the way he's writing it. Because same thing, I had the same similar notion with O'Hara, where they like left, like the book, like the Navy just left the books and stuff like just underwater. I felt that if you wanted to destroy all that information, you should just destroy all of it. They didn't touch it. I understand that they didn't care for it. They're like, whatever. And it's probably just, it's just a little lackey Navy Marines that don't know shit. They're just dumb anyway. But that is one thing. And it also kind of reminds me of now where there's like nobody that can preserve, at least to our knowledge, that can preserve Egghead. Maybe the robot, maybe he can wake up again or something. Maybe he could be like the protector for now. But
what do you mean by preserve? Like it from being destroyed?
Yeah, everything on Egghead, like all of the creations, any kind of blueprints of things, books. Same thing with O'Hara. It's like it's a lot of knowledge that if you were to leave it unprotected, it can be gone.
Well, no. I think York is now like she is in charge and now the owner of all that information. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, now the government has all of that. So unless Lilith is able to, kind of tap in from a distance to that neural network, I feel like most of that information is now lost. Like
yeah,
pardon me, you don't have the books from O'Hara unless Saul took some, which I guess is a possibility. But now everything, including the cloud mixing function factory for Egghead, it's now in the hands of the government, and they can just choose to scrap that technology. You
that's
hear
what I'm
all the
saying.
time that certain patents get bought by the government so they can use it for militaristic purposes,
Yep.
and then the people don't get to benefit from it because whoever invented it sold the patent to the government.
Yeah, that's my thing though. I think it's like I'm not saying it's bad in terms of like older right, like it's purposeful for York to be in that
Sure.
position. It makes sense because her whole thing with allying with the government to become a celestial dragon and everything. I just
Mm-hmm.
feel that it's so dangerous. It's kind of like in real life about the Library of Alexandria,
Yep.
where it got destroyed, and apparently the Romans said that they didn't mean to do it, but it just happened. They accidentally they burned it or whatever. Um, it's one of those things where I think ultimately, like, okay, so do you think York is just going to stay how she is right now, or do you think she's going to have some kind of either Vegapunk has some kind of contingency plan with all of his satellites if any of them want to betray or something like that? Because I don't know.
Um.
I don't know about all of his inventions for the most part being either stolen and given to the world government or being destroyed or not being uh, accessible anymore. I don't know, man. That kind of, or maybe it's supposed to be like that because he did this whole speech, right, to tell everybody this information. So maybe he didn't get to like complete his dream in a sense, and that's all gone now. And the only thing that he was left with was his speech to the world. Damn, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, it is sad, and I
I
think
don't like
that
the
is
story.
the end result because all of his inventions are now stored within that treasure trove of information. I don't feel like we're going to come back to this until like almost the end of the series. Like they might eventually travel to Egghead to release this information for the
Okay,
liberated world. But
yeah,
before then, no, I think the government's going to have an iron clamp lock on it.
no, right. That's fair because if anything, the world is only right now. Everybody is just all um the world is shaking right now from the speech alone. So this was going to hold people to that. But yeah, you're right. They could just spin back to that later after everything is over with. And plus, like I said, I think even if he is still like he wakes up again, I think he will be you know like kind of like a. It reminds me of somebody. I'm trying to think who. Oh, like how Kuma when he was protecting the Straw Hat ship, kind of like that.
Mm,
I think it's
yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
that again.
Now, do you think that I have a couple of questions about how this arc has seemingly ended? One, do you think Kuma is still alive? I would say yes.
Yeah, because Debani, she was
Okay.
laying on him. It looks like he was just knocked out. And, yeah,
Yeah. And to build off of that question, since we both agree that he's still alive, I previously had mentioned a somewhat convoluted theory that she could instruct him now that he listens to her to use his pawpaw fruit to extract her memories of his memories, and then he would then take back his own memories, or at least the copy of his memories from her. Does that make sense?
yeah, I think something like that could end up. Because I think you mentioned that before. I could definitely see that because I think it wouldn't do Kuma any justice if he's still like the same how he is right now, just like a robot or cyborg that's just going by his not even like he's like kind of like Phil that I wrote right now. It's like he comprehends stuff, but not like how he used to, or as a human, as a real human.
Hmm.
So I think we'll get that. We'll get a happy ending with Kuma. That's we need it. We need it with him and Bonnie. Elbaf. So I've been seeing a lot of people talk about how long they think the arc will be, what's going to happen during the arc, and we do know that this is something that Oda has been wanting to draw for a long time. Apparently, this is something that he always wanted to draw since he was like a kid, like a giant. Um, I don't know how true it is. This is, but I've seen people say that he always wanted to draw like an arc for any story that had to do with giants. So he
That's
finally
pretty
got to
cool.
this point. So if that is true, then I'd assume he should cook. He should cook with this arc. Something that's been uh, highly anticipated from everybody. Like this is the one arc that we knew we were going to get, and yeah,
For the longest time. Absolutely.
yeah.
Now, let's talk about the man of the hour because he was on the thumbnail, and I'm sure he'll be the topic of conversation for a couple of years to come. What do you expect from Usopp in this upcoming arc? Or what would you like to happen with him?
More or less what everybody kind of assumes. Like obviously he's going to get his shine. You see him in the front in that panel. I
Yep.
think that he will prepare a lot. He is going to. I think he's going to probably build a lot more stuff. There might be some cool stuff on Elbaf for him to use, like resources he can use to build some crazy shit, whether it's armor for
Plant-based
everybody
weapons.
or yeah, because that's been his thing. Like alongside being a sniper, he's always been somebody that was, especially in pre-time skip. Once again, the pre-time skip, just everybody was just better. They did more. They weren't very one note like how they are in post-time skip. Um, but back then, he used to always just make shit for the crew and make different weapons. You remember he made Nami her what's it called?
The weather
Um,
vane pole or whatever. Yeah.
yeah. So I think he's gonna go back to his roots and essentially start doing that. In terms of like what else he might do, because I don't think that would be all. If there is some kind of threat coming to the island, I'm not sure yet. I feel like because I agree, like he's a very valuable character when it comes to the Straw Hats, but I'm not sure if it has like I don't know what kind of threat would it take for him to sacrifice himself at this point. You got Gear 5 Luffy, you got Zoro, Sanji, Jinbei, like everybody's getting better. They're a lot stronger, and you have all the Elbaphian warriors, which giants are obviously the strongest race that we know of in terms of like physical strength. So, what would it take for him to sacrifice himself to save everybody or to have him escape? And how would they even allow that? Will Luffy even allow that? Right? I don't think he would. But in what case would he?
See, I've had a thought about Usopp for a long time now, is that he is, I would consider, a perfect candidate for a devil fruit in post time skip. So all of our Straw Hats, to our knowledge, have eaten their devil fruits in pre time skip. And if Usopp were to eat a devil fruit, I would love it to be a gigantification type of devil fruit, to where he can still keep his personality even if he is a big cowardly giant, but then he could go either fisticuffs or like man to man with a lot of these giants. And even like if they wanted to start introducing more so like combat, because he used to have the giant hammer back in Alabasta that was much too big for his own body, almost comically so. And then when he fought Perona, it was the same thing. This huge hammer, however many tons he lied about it for.
Right.
But I would love it if he got a devil fruit at this point in his journey, and then maybe, I don't know, like you can even kind of relate that back to what happened with Big Mom and Kaido, to where he's now in someone's debt.
Uh-oh. He paused. Froze. Uh-oh.
Am I still here?
Okay, you're back.
I was gonna say you could relate it back to like Kaido and Big Mom for a potential contractual obligation if he has to stay back for political reasons. If maybe he is now granted the new title of King of Elbaf. So whatever happens with Loki.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I was gonna say it would be cool if he had like some kind of battle with Loki, like because we know Usopp, he loves the giants. Like those are his sensei, his masters. So It would be cool if like Loki on a on a political standpoint is like, nah, you guys can't ally yourself with all these different people. You already deal with Shanks. Nope, you're not doing that. I'm the king of this island. You're going to listen to me. I think it'd be cool if Usopp stood up to that. Like, no, let them do what they want to do as warriors. That's what they are. They're here to. I mean, look at them. Like, you can't just allow these people to just stay here, posted here, for what? And then I think it's going to be one of those kind of situations. And he's probably going to challenge Loki and beat him, and that'll be pretty cool. And that'd be a good way for him to, if we're going down the route of him still surviving, I like that. I think that
Like King
generally
of the
should be
Giants is very close to Warrior of the Sea.
yeah.
Like at that point, even if you see, here's the thing, and the reason why I started this whole dialogue about Usopp is he needs to have something in this arc, and I don't know what I like more. I don't know if I like him dying more, either as a sacrificial lamb or to help them get away, or alternatively, maybe he makes the choice to stay. Maybe he decides that, hey, I want to, live my life out here, or I want to accomplish some sort of goal with the Giants, to where they've been persecuted. It's like they've been deceived. For the two lieutenants or the vice captains of Dory and Bragi, they were literally lied to by the government. And they would have still been on Water 7 if we hadn't arrived. To this day.
You know what? That'd be a good way for him to like lead them to the final war too. Like we don't see him for like say 100 chapters, something like that. That'd be a nice return. Honestly,
and isn't there a theory that like all of his lies eventually come true? And didn't he say like he was the head captain of like thousands of giants or like a giant battalion or something like that?
Yep. And plus too, which is kind of cool. Or I mean, no, about the whole dying thing. I've been wanting that for a while, but I feel like that's more fitting if it was earlier in the story, even though I wouldn't have wanted it then. But I just don't see a case where we need him to sacrifice himself, especially where Luffy is at, right? I don't see that. Like it would have to be a very, like I don't know, man. And for them to even allow him to do that, it's like I don't know if it's that, but if there's any situation right now that'd be that believable for him to do such a thing, and we, the Straw is just kind of like, okay, we trust you or something. Unless that's the case where they're like, okay, we're entrusting you to this, and then he eventually does die or something. They don't know until, I don't know. I just don't really see it no more, or at least I don't want it as much anymore.
So aren't they based loosely off of like Viking motifs?
Yep.
And one thing that they had is that you will not reach Valhalla unless you die. And then in addition to that, they really uphold the sanctity of dueling. So if he were to challenge Loki to a duel, maybe it's not to let them get away. Maybe it's just to like stop this tyrant. And the only way to fight him is to enter into a combat. And especially if Loki is indeed a giant, maybe like, I don't know, maybe Loki is a king that took over, because I'm going to go on a slight tangent here. So Loki in the MCU is not technically a giant. Well, he's a frost giant, but like he has a human-esque form. So the reason why I think that might be important is if Usopp were to defeat him in a duel and he were to die, that devil fruit reincarnation cycle could eventually give Usopp the devil fruit of becoming a giant himself, and then become the leader of the giants, so on and so forth. And maybe, again, there's some sort of cultural reason why he has to stay on the island if he defeats the king.
Right. And to that, I think that the Straw Hats would allow him to do that. Because that's a pride thing at that point. And it works for him because he wants to be a brave warrior to see. So if it's like a pride move for him to stay and combat Loki for that title, that makes sense. But if it's like any other threat, I don't see how they would believe him. Like, oh yeah, we believe in you, Usopp. You got us. Like, for us to leave, that must be a huge threat. And I don't see Luffy allowing that. It would have to be something very, I don't know, man. It would. I just don't see that. But I can see what you're saying with the Loki combat. I think that should be the route if he does anything in this arc.
And I don't even know if I would find it believable from a reader's standpoint if we were to say, okay, we'll leave it to Usopp. At this point, he's been crying for 400 chapters.
Yeah.
Like, has he had a feat since like Dressrosa? Probably not. And I don't think both in canon, in the universe, and for us, the reader, from a third party perspective, I don't feel like we would find it believable, personally.
Nope. It would have to be a very like underlying way or something. It have to be something that's not said by him, but he makes a choice to do something. But the characters don't know, but we get the gist of it. Like he can't tell him like, I got this, guys, or you guys can go without me. Like he can't do that. It doesn't work for him.
And Gavin, I did not forget your message in the chat. He asked if Luffy knows if the Giants are on the Red Hair crew or group. I would say no. And I think it's going to be quite a big surprise if he finds out that Shanks was right next to him, essentially, on like the island or two over. Because he hasn't seen him since... Well, I was thinking of Marineford, but no, he was passed out at that point. I don't think he's seen him since he left. Like, not in person.
He knew that he was there around Wano, I think, when they were just chilling after he did what he did.
Because, he felt the hockey, right?
Yeah. But other than that, never had any face-to-face confrontation in years. Like, series-wise, like, since he was 7, 6, something like that.
That's crazy.
He's 19 now, just about. So yeah.
Whew. And also, it's going to be quite an interesting dynamic when Cross Guild finally catches up to the Straw Hat crew now.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be a really unique dynamic if they're both on Elbaph, like Crocodile, Mihawk. Like, what's going on with Mihawk and Shanks? And then especially if we find out what's going on with that dynamic between Mihawk and Shanks. Like, we have some Holy Knight background history. Are we finally going to get Shanks's backstory? I'm excited.
I really do. Like, somebody said that this arc is going to be, that they think that the arc will be similar to like Zoe. I can see that. I can definitely see it. Going to a whole different race of people, their island. We learned some crazy historical information. I'm not sure if somebody like a Jack will pull up, but you could use Loki as the Jack, the antagonist in the situation. But I think we're going to learn a lot too. I wouldn't even be surprised if somehow, some way, Big Mom appears. Like, there's story to that. She's a giant. Wano's not that far.
It's right next door.
Yeah, so maybe she did some soul stuff, got a surfboard or something. I don't know. to get over here. But,
here's an idea. What if her and Kaido are already on Elbaf?
I just don't like Kaido, man.
No, I get that. I'm just saying, as a theoretical thought experiment.
I don't want to see just both of them there. There's something to me, right? There's something where you group up characters like that together. They immediately to me are, everything about them is like nerfed.
Oh yeah, it takes away. They are lesser than the combined. By themselves, they are greater than the sum of their parts. If that makes sense.
I don't want to see them paired up again. Like, their alliance is over, and seeing both of them in the same place at the same time is kind of. I don't know. They're not who they are anymore. I mean, they're literally not Yonkos anymore. It just adds it more into that. But I like them on their own, separately. Yes, they can have interactions later, but just be separate.
Do you think maybe Kaido went back to Wano, and Yamato's going to see him in this cover story?
Oh, you think it's going to be one of those kind of things, like silhouette or something hinting at?
Yeah, like just before or just as she finishes her Odin journey.
Here's my only problem with them being alive. Do you think, like, I would have a problem, like, do you think that they learned anything? Like, honestly, they got challenged by these youngsters, and they lost. So what is it like? Them coming back being their same stuff. I think Kaido, there's more room for him a little bit because he does respect Luffy in the end. Um, and we learned a little bit about his backstory, not too much, but we can definitely see him going against the world government. I can definitely see that him leading
Oh
his
yeah,
the Beast Pirates there. For Big Mom, no, I don't see. She would more so just seem like the same person. Um, like I think she's just going. I don't know. It's like, what is her? I mean, yeah, what is her goal? She are both of them still trying to go for their like reclaim their Yonko title, or like what do they do now if they are alive?
that's a good question. I will say what I would like for Big Mom to happen with her character arc moving forward is she kind of take a backseat to our boy, or I guess
Katakuri.
my boy. How do you feel about Katakuri?
Um, I like him a lot, but
Okay,
I
he's
kind
more
of
so
feel
my
like
boy.
he was, yeah, he was like he met the hype, but at the same time, I think he was a little overrated. Like I always heard about him before I got into One Piece. He's dope though. Like I'm not taking anything away from him. I give him like an A grade on the
Okay.
series.
So the reason, guys, why we're speculating that Big Mom and or Kaido is alive, I shouldn't say and or Kaido or Big Mom and Kaido is still alive, is because of Zeus. I think I said that in one of my 3 prolonged catch-up streams, is that Zeus, to my knowledge, still is a homie of Big Mom. So that's why we're operating under the assumption that she's still alive. And if she's
Yeah,
still alive, where is she? It makes
and
sense on Elbaf, especially since she was dropped off there as a kid, started eating people.
if
But
she's dead, then that's just that's a plot hole like a motherfucker. Because I don't see any other way how Zeus can still be alive. Or yeah,
because especially with the soul reincarnation cycle for devil fruits and how they might actually pick their subsequent users,
right.
maybe. I don't think it's been confirmed, but a pretty strong correlation.
It's just I don't know, man. Just the whole thing of them being alive, it just does not. It takes away from Wano.
I agree. If they're both alive, I would be more forgiving if only Big Mom was still alive.
Yeah, I feel like there's more that
But
makes sense with her. Like even if the whole Kaido I owe you type thing and all.
but also, I really don't like the whole aspect of Kaido just being defeated by a big old punch by Luffy. To me,
Even though
that
Oda
just
promised that
still
wouldn't happen,
to the
they still did
exactly
it.
to this day, it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. And I can't come to grips with that mentally of why he lost, why he lost like that, and 2, like that's how you go out for this
Right.
character that you've built up since you introduced the Yonko. I
Hold
don't
on
know.
for a second. I'll be back.
Yep, that's fine. So I want to thank you, the 2 people here watching. Hopefully one of them is not Vontae, but if he is, that's okay. Yeah, I'm really excited for Elbaf. I feel like Oda has recaptured the magic ever since Egghead, got some of its footing underneath itself, and then especially with Kuma, that backstory was peak One Piece. I care about Dr. Vegapunk. I care about this backstory of how he had the best interests of the world in his mind. And also, like, the whole scientist that flew too close to the sun. So the classic story of Icarus from the Iliad and the Odyssey. At least I think that's where it's from. I'm sorry if that's incorrect. I know it's of Greek mythos, though, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I really hope Emmett is also alive as well. But let me just briefly talk to you guys about the infusion of hockey theory that Vontae and I were talking about earlier. So my thought is that I had a couple things in mind with the One Piece. So there's only one thing I know with absolute certainty that I feel it in my nuggets. Shout out to Townsy for that reference. But I feel 100% the One Piece is sentient because it either chooses people or it interacts with people in a certain form or fashion. So, with that being said, I know that it's sentient. At least I'm very confident that it's sentient. And two, with Roger saying we were too early. Now, with this last chapter's development, we found out that hockey could be infused into objects with a potential time delay of up to, what was it, 900 years ago, 800 years ago, for when Joy Boy was actually alive. And he said, use this to save yourself or use this to save me, something like that. So, what if there is a time delay lock or barrier around the One Piece in Laugh Tale? And it can only be unlocked in a couple of different ways. One, if you have the requisite Conqueror's Haki, and or if you're a member of the D Clan. And either one of those two stipulations can unlock it. If not, maybe you can talk to it, maybe you can interact with it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you own it. So even if it's not sentient, even if it is just sort of this non-sentient object or concept per se, it still might be locked behind a time-locked barrier or lock. Gavin. Yeah, I would like to see more of the world. Let's throw back to some other characters. So, as I was saying, we now have Pudding that has been kidnapped by Blackbeard. You can even get some more stuff with the Revolutionaries. You can swing back to that now that Kuma is officially with the Straw Hats and back to where he rightfully belongs at the side of his daughter. Let's see. In terms of the world government, Akainu said some interesting things this arc. It seems to me that he has a complete understanding of the history of the world as it relates to Vegapunk's speech to the world. He's like, oh, you're really telling them everything? Like, shut up, man. So I think Kaido, got Kaido in the brain. Akainu, at his level in the world government, maybe even prospective admirals. Is he called? No, he's chief admiral. I don't know, head of the Navy, whatever. He and maybe even candidates for that head position could potentially be the conduits or the keepers of the knowledge. So maybe the reason why him and Kuzan fought was because when they were both told this information about how the world is, they had differing views on how to move forward. So Kuzan maybe wanted to go one direction. Akainu obviously wanted to go a different direction, and they fought to see whose values or ideals would come out on top. Yeah, we could go to Big News Morgan. I don't think Kid is dead. As for Law, yeah, we could go to a little subsection of the story there. I don't feel like we're going to get much of Law, if any, in the near future. That might be at the end of Elbaf that will swing back to Law, because he ran away with... That's why I really wish Vontae was here, because I'm forgetting his name, the polar bear. God, I'm so bad with names with One Piece. I am going to go ahead and read or reread this series for the first time here in the next couple of months. I might try doing it on my lunch breaks at work, and then that way I'll be a lot more familiar. I can theorize a lot better.
All right, I'm back.
All right, welcome back. I was just briefly talking about kind of the time delay hockey infusion lock on the One Piece. And then I was also talking about how Gavin was mentioning we might go to like some other stories before we circle back to Elbaf. So like
More than
Law,
likely.
we can go to Kid because he's not dead. I can almost guarantee that. We might go to some
Yeah.
revolutionary stuff, and then a Kainu. So, do you think that only the very top of the Navy for his position is told the history of the world? Or do you think maybe him and Kuzan were both told that same information as candidates for that position, and they decided to fight because one wanted to do one thing with that information, another one wanted to do something else?
It's likely that anybody who's a candidate, I think probably. So that would mean that Sengoku would know that information as well.
Yeah.
You can see how he was like a pseudo absolute justice, but not like in a crazy kind of way that kind of was all about
Let's
it.
kill all the babies on the island and the pregnant mothers.
Like Sengoku tried. That's why I think Sengoku's a character that's kind of I don't know if there's gonna be more to him, but I think he's slightly underwhelming. It's because like somebody with his position, the fact that he even retired, if he does know all that information, once again, it's kind of my the same way I feel about Rayleigh. Like these old guys, they just not care, or they're kind of apathetic at this point. So I guess we just got to go back to the God Valley and some other stuff in the past to see how they got to this mindset now where they're like, I mean, I get it, you're old, you're old as hell, so you have to retire at some point. But it's still
I
kind
was
of
going to
strange.
say, isn't there this phrase or concept in JJK to where you're just like a cog in the machine?
Yeah.
So he could feel like that. He could feel powerless even at the top of the Navy to where he literally can do nothing to change the world.
Right.
He
It
is
did
maybe
seem like
powerless when the 5 elder planets are as powerful as they are, maybe immortal as all 5 of them are, with Emu being in control of those 5.
Right. There's still a lot that we don't know because even Garp's character, like, I'm sure he knows way more about the D clan than, I mean,
He's
he's the
letting on.
oldest member right now, and he was a part of that's another thing too. The fact that he's a part of the Marines, like, I guess the elders don't care, or do they purposely like get certain people into these positions so they can ensure that they can,
Control them.
yeah, because
Well,
whatever happened with Garp, they must have manipulated him or something.
I was
And
going to
then he
say,
learned the
didn't
truth.
they offer him the position of the
Yeah,
head of the Navy, but he declined because he's like, I don't want to like abide by your sense of justice.
yep. Well, it was the admiral position. I don't know if it was it fleet? It might have been.
I
I'm
thought
not
maybe
sure.
it was like the head of the Navy
But I guess
because
either
he was
way.
the hero after God Valley incident, right?
Yep. Damn. Garp he's very interesting. He's like that scapegoat figurehead type person in real life. Where like, oh yeah, we can use this guy. Like he's a very notable D clan member, but we're going to make sure that he's on our side, even though he might not actually be on their side. He's conflicted. He might be okay. This is going to a different. I'm not going to get too much into Garp, but like he can genuinely be the most intriguing D clan member because he is somebody. Because the D clan, and so it seems that they are a clan of people who ultimately kind of like they kind of, for the most part, all the members so far seem like they all do their own thing and they have really big uh, dreams or whatever that's their destiny or some sort. But him, like, basically, I'm saying that they seem more free to do whatever they want, and that's something that the world government
Okay.
does not want. But Garp is somebody that isn't necessarily living that kind of dream, so he's separated from the rest of the bunch because the rest of the bunch are usually pirates, aside from Saul. He was in the Marines, but for every D clan member that we do know of, all of them were like pirates and did things on their own. So I don't know what.
That lineage from Garp to Dragon to Luffy is probably my most intriguing lineage speculation in the entire series. Because when we think about it, the D clan is not necessarily biological in totality. It can be more so like you choose to become a part of the D clan.
Yep.
You assume the name. So it doesn't have to be biological. So we also know in the last, I don't know, few chapters, I don't remember which one specifically, Dragon mentioned he had given the Navy a shot before he turned to be a revolutionary. So what led Garp to name his son as a part of the D clan? What did he tell him? What was their view of what that clan meant or was supposed to do with their lives? And then Dragon did the same thing to his son, to where he named him after the D clan, knowing the implications of what that might mean. So how did we go from Garp, like you said, like near the top of the Navy, even offered maybe a position of fleet admiral, to the person leading the entirety of the revolution against that world government, to a pirate who's taking on everyone to be free?
That is interesting. That it goes from one side of the spectrum all the way to the other side.
Literally to the other side. Yeah.
But one thing I will say is that I'm kind of afraid that whatever we're going to learn from why Dragon left is going to make us look at Garp even more strange. Like, we can understand maybe his decision. Like, so whatever Dragon, because Dragon, he's the head of the revolutionary, and you're the son of the hero of the Marine. It's like, for you to do such a thing, to like go and be this big rebel that's the most wanted man in the world, that is a very different. That's like somebody. That's like All Might, and say All Might has a son that's like the worst villain of all time. It's like the best hero and then the worst. Like, what happened there? Like, that's why the reason why I say that it might make us look a little differently at Garp is because we could probably understand him, but we could definitely understand Dragon a whole lot more from what we already know, and there's more things that we don't know that made Dragon even, get out of there. It might be on similar to like, the whole thing with the Ace situation with the whole baby stuff, like dark shit like that. Because what would make a man like Dragon just say, "Fuck this, I'm out"? Nope.
I'd have to say something about his wife. If something about their son / their wife, I could see him, especially with the line he told Kuma, like, children are a liability. What if Luffy had a sibling and they got killed off?
You know what? I think that line goes into himself and his dad, Garp. So like him, Dragon being who he is, he's like, damn, like my dad, like even though I understand what he's trying to do, like it doesn't work. Like having a son, you being the hero of the Marines, knowing your lineage or the clan, or we know Garp knows something. And he probably realizes as he got older, started maturing, and then he had a son, and then he probably even after Luffy was born or when he was born, realized like, yeah, this is it's treacherous. Even he probably even already knew about I'm sure, he knew about Roger and Ace being his son, so he probably thought like, us having these kids, man, it's dangerous out here for every side, no matter what party or faction.
Do you remember how old Dragon is, roundabout?
Yeah, he should be around Pioneer's age, so about 55-ish, something like that.
Okay, so that would be, he would have been born before the God Valley incident, right?
Yeah, he, I believe he was around when the O'Hara incident happened, which was 22 years ago.
Okay.
He was around 33, I think.
Gotcha.
30 something.
So I don't think it was the God Valley incident that necessarily changed what. Well, it might have been, because that is that teenage kind of rebellious phase where maybe if he went with his dad as a part of the Navy, he might have been even under his command at God Valley.
Yep. He was, yep, because God Valley is 39-ish years ago, 38 years ago.
Yeah,
So yeah, he was like Luffy's age in the beginning of the series. Hmm. Interesting.
which does also make sense of why he tried out the Navy, but then he was
Yeah.
like, "No, this isn't for me." Because maybe they had like a somewhat backdoor agreement to where they knew about this like hunting of people for sport, because they say this is like an annual thing, or like they've been doing this for a while.
Hmm. You know what? I think whatever happened to him, the switch up, is kind of mirrors Kobe at Marineport when he was just looking around, seeing everybody fighting. And he's like, "Yo, what are
He's
you guys
realizing
doing?"
this ain't it. This
I
ain't
think
it.
Dragon on God Valley, similar things happened to him, but that made him be like, "Yeah, fuck both pirates, Marines, both of you guys. Both of you guys are crazy. Like pirates are over here poisoning and doing all this stuff. Marines are over here killing people too and doing all this stuff. So that's why he became a revolutionary. And I think
Yeah.
that'll be the route. And I might rock with Dragon even more if that's the case.
And especially if we found out that Shanks became the adopted son of pirates at God Valley from a celestial dragon, after the celestial dragons, they had that incident. Do we even know if there were celestial dragons killed at God Valley? We know next to nothing about that, right?
Shit, probably. I definitely think the
Man.
Celestial Dragons probably got killed by like the Rocks pirates, like for sure, them or attacked them at least.
But it also makes me think, like, why did Garp agree to team up with Roger to go against Rocks? Like, what had to happen? Or is that just pure fabrication?
I think it's a
Did they
little
actually
fabricated.
team up?
Well, I think they did because we know they have a relationship, even though it's like a cop prisoner or a cop criminal relationship, but we know that they have one to the point where he told Garp to take care of his son. Like I think it was one of those situations where. But I feel like in real life they probably have stuff like that. There's probably a cop that's arrested some fool all the time and they just laugh about it or something. I think it's one of those kind of situations. If there, I think there probably is something like that in the world. But I Rock's character is interesting because they talked about him a little bit, but I think he's I don't for some reason I don't think he's as bad as how it seems like he is, especially like looking at his silhouette. Like they make him seem like this like Blackbeard, like a Blackbeard type. He might not be that.
Here's a thought, and I'm completely vibing with what you're saying. What if Shanks is actually Rox's son?
Oh, I've heard that a lot.
So maybe it's a misdirect in terms of Garling looking like he looked like back in the past, but then Shanks was then given to pirates,
Like a
and
Roger
then
situation.
Roger A situation, and that's kind of where like Roger got the idea from to give his son to Garp, because he saw that Garp gave Rox's son to was it Roger's crew he grew up on?
Yeah. It's kind of funny for Garp in his situation. He's like, again? This shit happened again? That was me this time. Person went from this dude now to me. Why? What are we doing here? But I
It would
just
explain the
know,
potential Conquerors hockey.
right?
Could it explain why Rox was on the island?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I know this is gonna sound like a joke. It kind of is, kind of isn't. But I would not be surprised if Buggy was Rock's son. I can see Oda doing some shit like that.
Buggy was Rox's son because he's the same exact age as Shanks, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if both of them got found on God Valley, like an Asta, type, doorstep type, something like that. Because they both grew up on the ship together. So
what if Buggy is Garling's son?
That would be funny.
So he is actually going to be the king of the world because he has celestial dragon blood.
Bruh. And it makes sense. Buggy seemed like a celestial dragon type. Not like to that degree, but like just you know, like a foolish kind of person, which most celestial dragons are like foolish.
Oh yeah,
But
they're
he'll
a
be
joke in
more.
it of
He'll be better.
themselves.
He'll be the next one. Even though it's not like not by far, but yeah, that could
Ah,
work too. Hmm. Oh, I can't wait for God Valley. That's going to be something else. It's gonna change a lot of stuff because now that we're talking, I don't think we like at least me personally, I haven't really thought about like how much do some of these D clan members know about their lineage. But like if anybody does, it would have to be Garp. You're the oldest. Obviously Roger knew, so he probably told Garp more stuff.
well,
Things that
Garp
he probably
and
found in the
Dragon
world.
by extension.
Yeah, and he taught his son or told him about certain things, and then Dragon also probably learned things on his own. But now what's funny too. The thing that I'm starting to think about now is that I absolutely think that all of the admirals slash former and Kuzan will fight against the Gorosei and Emu because all of their things is about justice, and they're being puppeteered by Emu and the Gorosei. Um, if going off of what we talked about with Sengoku, like he just kind of has to like you know do what he's told and try to manage things the best that he can. And now he's retired. He's like, okay, I don't like that shit no more. Kuzan, he's out of there as well, and now Kainu's the fleet admiral. I think that we're gonna get the admirals versus the World Cup. The admirals slash Dragon, maybe Sabo against Emu and the Gorosei and the Holy Knights. That's gonna be that battle, and then obviously the Yonko and their groups are gonna battle each other with the Cross Guild. You know.
All I know is Fujitora better have a role. That's
Oh, for
all I
sure.
know.
He definitely will. If anything, I could see him being like the first to challenge out of all the admirals, the first to challenge the Gorosei, for sure. And I can see him dying. He's going to be the character, one of the characters who's going to die, 100%. Because he doesn't. After he does what he does, he doesn't need to be there because now we have Kobe and Smoker, the next up,
I mean, he's
admirals
already
the admiral.
entrusted his dream to Luffy just based off of
Yeah.
their previous interaction in Dressrosa. So, all right. Gavin is asking about Luffy's team and update.
Oh,
So it would be
like the
actually
fleet.
cool to get a fleet update because I know we had a bit with what's his name, little chibi
Barthol's
dude,
fucking around with Shanks'
Bartolomeo.
some of his territories. That was actually kind of funny. He was fucking with Shanks' territories. You better chill out, man.
Luffy
Heard about what
Lando.
happened to kid last week, man. I don't know if you want to do that.
I know. He ain't to be messed with.
And then Vivi's role, like that's another character that obviously she's gonna have a huge role. I get like, what would her role be? I'm thinking
that's what I wanted to talk to you about. So in this chapter, I'm not going to say outright, it essentially confirmed that Uranus is in the hands of Emu, right? Based on they were saying like the Celeste, or excuse me, not the Celestial Dragon, one of the ancient weapons is in the hands of the government, powered by the Mother Flame.
Right. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. Because that's only.
So we know where Pluton is. We know where Shirahoshi is for Poseidon.
Did they say that there were only 3, or did they just name 3?
I thought there was 3 major ones.
Okay, it'll be interesting if there was like another one. Matter of fact, fuck it, why not? Throw a mystery one, that hidden one. Like,
why not?
Thought that one was gone. What the hell? The man marked by flame has that one? Oh wow! It's a torch, an eternal torch. I don't know. Just trying to come up with stuff.
He's just an Olympic runner for all of his years, like Zanisha. That's his punishment.
Yep.
Okay, so what I was gonna bring up now, so that doesn't that confirm that Vivi is not Uranus? Or maybe like the world government has like a pseudo replica of Uranus, but wouldn't Dr. Vegapunk have to know how to create that? Because no one else is on the on the level to create a weapon like Uranus.
Nope. If that's the case, then Vivi, what then? Like? I mean, we know about the Lily.
I don't see what her
She's
role
a
is
descendant.
now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't see how she would, like, what is it? What is her role? Is it just like, I don't want it to be, I really don't want no fucking emu. Oh, this is my girl. Even though it's not my girl because the girl's from the
That's what I'm
past.
getting at.
I don't like that. But
I don't like
I
it
mean,
either, but like, what other explanation is there? If she looks exactly like Princess
I've seen it
Lily
so many
from
times,
all those
man.
years ago, I know. I'm just saying, like, what other, like, why would she be one of the three people? Either Luffy, Blackbeard, or Vivi. I don't really see how she's that important because Alabasta doesn't even have the information that is like not even secured anymore. So like that information on Alabasta for that poneglyph is already like almost common knowledge about, like, you know, the travels of Joy Boy, like what happened with Roger, like where Pluton is. They know where Pluton
Maybe
is.
she is the mother flame. Literally. Mother. I don't know. Lily was, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of something. She's the mother flame. She has a flame. She can emit flames. And that's why they try to make a pseudo, you know, mother flame. Because we know Vegapunk made an artificial type. And we know that it's a real thing, at least. Oh, also you mentioned about so you've seen the Inaru cover page.
I know of it. I haven't read it, but I know kind of like what's going on. He's in space on the moon, and there's like this weird clan of like chibi
not that
people.
Nope.
Then what are you talking
more
about?
to it. There's a damn, what was it? It was like a
It's like a hieroglyph of the mother flame.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And everybody's like surrounded or something like that. So damn, Oda, that's some crazy foreshadow because that literally was that, like, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know Vivi's role, and it makes me mad because I don't care about Vivi. So now you're like forcing me to see Vivi in a more grander role. But I don't like what. I just don't like the Lily thing, but I can see him doing it because Cole got a fucking picture of her in his damn room.
Do you think the mother flame has kind of like a homing beacon that the Alabasta crew, I say crew, you know, the Nefertari family can locate maybe psychically?
Maybe. It's kind of interesting too when you think about it, because the whole Pluton thing, Crocodile, and then you got Alabasta, Vivi, and another ancient weapon is connected to some extent.
And then she met what's her name, Shirahoshi, at the Reverie.
Maybe this is a whole different role. Like maybe you have the Pluton being the ship, you have Shirahoshi being somebody that can control the sea beasts, sea kings, and all that kind of stuff, and talk to them, and and then Vivi can be like the maybe it could be this simple. Maybe, well, you kind of said it, but she's the rightful wielder of Uranus, where she could probably do something that Emu can't. So the flames might something maybe with the flames or something. She can do it herself.
Like it's not gonna burn her. Like she'll be immune from maybe the side effects that Emu has by using it, or maybe she can get the most amount of power out of it. So where I was going with that whole speculation was that potentially Vivi might know or be a map, like psychically, to find the mother flame. And I don't know, maybe could it be hidden on the moon?
Maybe.
Okay, so that's my next question, because I just kind of asked that question without actually thinking. Is the mother flame still in existence? And if so, is it hidden or is it lost?
That's
Because
a good question.
a flame that burns forever should not go out, even if it's underwater. Because we saw that in Vegapunk's lab for his recreation of it. That was an imperfect recreation.
Right. There's literally in real life too an eternal flame that's like in a cave where there's
Like
water.
Russia or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But shouldn't it still exist?
Yeah. You know, I think there's a connection with Luffy's sun god Nika form and the mother flame. It looks similar, like the way that, the flame, or maybe that's just how Oda draws flames, but
Yeah.
I feel like there's still some kind of similarity there. We don't know the color either, I don't think. But if it's white, then yeah, there's a connection right there. There's so
because
much.
theoretically, the mother flame should still exist if it's an eternal flame.
Yeah. I feel like Oda, he's really about to like change it. Once we learn about Voice in 3D, Clan God Valley is gonna be like it kind of reminds me. I haven't read it, but it reminds me of in Hunter x Hunter.
Oh.
There's like just a different kind of world that Togashi hasn't got to write it out
Dark
fully
Continent.
yet. Yeah, Dark Continent. And I've seen like some panels. I'm like, yo, this is different. So I think Oda's gonna do something like that where when we start learning things, I'm like, whoa.
Maybe the
never thought of
Nefertari
this.
family could be the Light Keepers,
Maybe.
to where they can find the mother flame just based on their lineage. And maybe that's because Lily stole the mother flame. So a connection to York's betrayal. She stole it from the group of 20.
I don't know though. I kind of feel like, well, I mean, it could go either way. Like it could be Emu being desperate, like, okay, we need our shit back. We gotta make an artificial one, Vegapunk. Look, come on, man. Or it could be something like, nah, we need what they got because they had it, and we want to replicate that. I have Uranus, and now, but I don't have the flames to to add to it. So I don't know. Because then that could be a whole different power system at that point. If BV was like somebody that can emit flames, like I don't even think that's a devil fruit thing at that point. That's just some. Well, I mean, we are kind of getting to like, I guess, magic with the whole pentagram thing.
That's true. Do you think maybe the mother flame could be imbued within the bloodline of the Nefertari family?
Maybe. Speaking of which, this is kind of just out of nowhere, but I kind of feel like we might see Mad Monk Rouge. He's gonna have some kind of. He just looks like somebody to do some kind of ritualistic shit. I can see if we tap into like that kind of stuff after seeing the Gorosei do something of that nature.
That's interesting.
We're gonna see somebody, either the man marked by flame, him, somebody. I can see it happening from like a different character now.
I thought you were going to go along a different path with that, because when you said Eroge, I immediately thought of the Sky Islands, since he is from the Sky Islands, and they talked about this plant, and like that's how you can save humanity. The only way that you can save humanity from the Great Flooding is everyone lives in the clouds.
Right. He's gonna have a big part in the story. He has to. Shit, he might have been at God Valley too.
He's older, right?
Yeah, I don't know how old he is, but I might search that up.
Oh yeah, he's got a kind of like a gigantification power, right? Is that a power or is that a devil fruit?
Yeah.
Do we know?
I don't remember. I don't remember
either. I mean, granted, we haven't got a lot of him.
I just remember that the madder he gets, the bigger he gets, kind of like Hulk. He's 47, so yeah, he would have been like Kuma's age, I think, at that time.
Okay.
Let me see. Yep. Yeah, Kuma's 45. Yeah, he's just 2 years older.
Okay. Oh yeah. Oda's gonna cook with him. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, that's the last guy. You know what?
You did great with
I
Bonnie.
think so. I think so because when you think about the other older person within that, it's Blackbeard, and we know his significance. I'd say that if there is somebody like it would make sense somebody like Rose to be at like God Valley because or something like that because he's there's a
He could have
connection
been
there.
one of the
Like
special
he was,
rabbits.
yeah, and he was there when the current generation of that day was there, and now he's like Blackbeard. Um, he's in like that Black, even though he's technically in the Luffy. I can see something like that. Like
I wonder
there's a
why
reason
he
why he's there.
decided to set out to sea as a pirate in his 40s. Like
Right.
kind of similar to Shanks.
Yep. I know something. Let's see. What else? There's so much to talk about on One Piece. I'm just trying to think of stuff that we probably never talked about.
Oh, I'm sure there's so much.
Hmm. I don't know. I really don't want. I really don't want Oda going down the route of Akainu kind of being, kind of like the whole thing with an Undead today with Ruin. At least for now, how
Mm-hmm.
it looks. I don't want Akainu to look like a double down. Like, yes, I am an antagonist to you guys, and it's just going to be like that. Only because it's like we got to with Lucci. Lucci. It seemed like he was going to be an ally, then he did the bullshit
Nope.
again. It's like, come on, bro.
Nope.
And I guess, I hope he doesn't. He's not like that. And
It all
I don't
depends
want
on
him
that
to like at the
backstory.
last. I don't want him to be like Genie from Bleach.
Yeah,
Like the moment that he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm actually," and then boom, you're dead. My bad if I spoiled anybody, but I mean, it's early Bleach. Come on.
it's 15 years ago. It's fine.
And you probably forget about it anyway. You don't know what name I said. But I don't want it to be that kind of situation either. No. And then you got folks talking about he's a Sabo victim. Sabo, my boy, but no, that's not happening either. He's going to fight him, but eventually he's going to. Because I think Dragon and Akainu has history. He kept referring to Luffy as Dragon's son. He said it like 7 times in Marine Corps. And they're around the same age. They both were in the Navy. I'm sure he got in the Navy around the same time, like Kobe's age. So, for sure.
How old did you say he was?
I think he's like 55. I think both of them are the same age.
So he could have been kind of like a crewmate or like a fellow recruit with Dragon on God Valley, and he decided to double down on his Navy career, whereas Dragon decided to go the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm. You know what, too? That would make a kind of a really great foil to not only Dragon, Kuzan,
Garp,
Garp, shit, even Fujitora in terms of like title and position and what they think. Like, because we've seen Fujitora, he's like, I forgot what he said, but he don't really be listening to Akainu. He's like, man, fuck you, dog. So he's low-key a great foil for those characters, which is I like that a lot because he's out of the 3 main antagonists for the end of the series, Akainu, Blackbeard, and Emu, all 3 of them are that. So it's good for him to have that much significance still. Which you don't see that in a lot of other series. That's like 3
multiple
main
end game antagonists, yeah.
So it was all at once. It's not like just one after the other. You go to the next person. Like it's kind of all happening at once. But ultimately, I think it's going to lead to him joining with them, understanding that, you know what, maybe I'm the one that's wrong. All these people, Dragon. He probably was close friends with Dragon, or like at least worked with him a lot. Kuzan, that seemed like that was his homie, and we'll see what happened after that. And your homie became a pirate, something that you hate. So maybe he might start thinking like.
And then your next homie decided to become a pirate too. You chopped his leg off.
And then you have a person that was probably your mentor in Garp, and you see how conflicted he is. You're like, okay, I don't want to feel like him because you're kind of in that place too. Man, Kaido can be a great character. Like he knows everything.
What's like a betrayal or kind of like a well, okay, so another spoiler for another big three. He kind of reminds me of how I felt about Itachi for the longest time, to
Mm,
where I know that there's something more behind the scenes,
yeah.
but for the
Yep.
moment, I hate your guts.
Yep.
But then once I found out like what was going on, like he was obligated to do this. Like he had no other choice. If he were to rebel, something worse would have happened. Maybe they would have killed like children. I know that they've killed children in the past, but I'm saying like just something of that magnitude to where there was something he was protecting and he had to do what he had to do.
Because I don't think it's just like, oh, I just hate pirates. Like, if
I don't think so.
you have to be incredibly naive, and he's 50 something years old. Like, you
He
can't
ain't
just
naive.
like you're
Not at
somebody
that
that's
point.
literally killing people too, and like, or at least being ordered to do certain things like this, committing genocide. So it's like that can't be it. That's why dragons make sense. It's like fuck both of you. Like both of you guys do the
Yeah.
same thing. I am not with that. I kind of was like, the Marines, the world government kind of spitting. I think like, but why would he be like that? Like that's kind of
It wouldn't make sense.
it's like in real life with certain people that like really into politics when they're like all far right or all far left. That's what it kind of is. But like why? And in real life, a lot of these people can't even give you a really good answer as to why they're on either
They've
like
just been
far on the other
conditioned.
side.
But I feel like
Exactly.
he has a level of intelligence to where he is not conditioned. He's either playing the long game or he is required to do something so that something worse doesn't happen. And there's always like this, I don't know, kind of like this mentality that you would rather have the lesser of two evils in a position of power, even if it does mean some evil will be committed. Like, if it's between the devil and maybe someone who's just terrible, you will choose the person that is terrible almost every single time.
hmm Or maybe he was like, I don't know though. 'Cause he seems like he knows what he's thinking. I was gonna say maybe he was manipulated or brainwashed or indoctrinated with certain belief, but like still, by far, he compared to everybody else, even before he became Fleet Admiral, was so much into the absolute justice. So, what conditioned him to have that kind of conviction or resolve? Once again, Dragon had the same level of it, but his makes so much sense. I think everybody can agree. His when we do see it, we can agree that he makes sense. Akainu's doesn't. Like if he acted more like how Fujitora acts, where like he knows he is tasked by being an admiral, but he also has his own moral. Like it kind of seems like he doesn't have morals, and I don't think that that's true. So we really have to understand him as a character more, and I can't wait for that.
And he's even gone like above and beyond what the normal pale of cruelty would be. So, looking back at
Yeah,
O'Hara, he killed all of those civilians just on an off chance that one of them could. But
he even killed a soldier when he first got introduced, right?
yeah,
It's like
in
what the fuck?
Marineford, he's like, okay, well, you're running away, so let me just kill you. What do you mean you just
Jesus
melted a
Christ.
man? What do you mean?
Maybe they did manipulate him. Maybe they seen that Dragon, like maybe him and Dragon were two promising youngsters, and they seen that
Mm-hmm.
Dragon got out, and they're like, nope, we're not allowing you to get out of here. Nope, we have to get at least one of y'all, and they got a kind of,
Yeah.
and or maybe he's like, nah, well, who knows? Maybe because you've seen that one girl that's a part of Garp's group, the one that people are saying that might be a kind of his daughter because they both talk similarly.
They
The
have
girl
a
that likes
similar
Kobe.
dialect or something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like what if he's doing it for like a? Well, I can't even say a family thing because every time I think about it, kind of I think about like what you just said, the whole genocide of O'Hara and all this other stuff. But like maybe because
I'm still listening. I just got to grab my charger. One second.
yeah, okay. I just think that they doubled down. Like he doubled down into being a Marine. I feel like there has to be a reason why someone like Dragon, because I do believe that they both have a history of each other, same age, both were in the Navy, so I'm assuming they were in the Navy at the same time. like Dragon, man, I don't know. Like, I think they probably abused a kind. They did something to him for him to stick with them because they could not allow someone else to, end up leaving. Because you have Garp. You kind of don't know if Garp will switch up on you or not because he's part of the D clan, so you don't know. So who else do they have? Sengoku. They probably know him how he is as a person. He's kind of like I think they believe that he's not exactly fit for the position. They probably would have wanted Garp, but obviously they can't get him because how he is. So like, who else do you even have at that point? You have to develop the next generation. So they probably definitely did double down with Akainu to ensure that he gets into his position that he's in right now. Hell, he probably even knows about the whole Shank situation. If he was on God Valley too, he probably knew about the baby. And he probably seen everything. And it kind of might be a cortisone and Doflamingo situation where two people experience the same thing and they both have a whole different outlook on it.
I had a thought while I was grabbing that charger. What if Saturn intervened? He's been known to do these type of experiments. Maybe Akainu has a disease that if he disobeys, it will kill him.
Yeah, could be. I mean, look at his tattoos. Why does he have those tattoos? Is he covering something up? Is it? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That is kind of strange that he has those kind of tattoos. Why?
It seems almost kind of like a pattern. So we know the white, what is it? The white topaz, white something.
Yeah, topaz. Yeah, I think that's
white topaz, the blue sapphire. If he has a disease that will literally kill him, kind of like nanites or something like that, maybe, and especially if he has a daughter, like, are you even in control of your own body?
Right. Because he does go way over the top compared to everybody else. Like, thing about Marineford, the reason why he stood out is because he went absolute, literally. That's his whole thing. Like, why would he be so? It's almost like you're programmed to do this.
I mean, I could see him being full of nanites or full of some sort of internal force, because the way he was acting in Marineford, it reminded me so much of how Saturn was acting and talking in Egghead. That is like absolute obedience. You guys are insects. He killed that Marine just because he was scared. No, we don't allow for fear in this Navy. Are you even, like, did you agree to sign up to be their lab rat? Did you not have a choice? Was he really good friends with Dragon and Dragon saw what they did to him in terms of turning him into a test subject? And he's like, no, I'm not gonna subject my own family to the same thing. If this is how they treat, some of their most promising candidates, if they turn them into a soldier, like a super soldier.
The thing is, the only thing that I want from him is for him to have a good reason. But it's hard to have a good reason as to why you're like that. That's the only tough part, because the more and more I keep thinking about different situations, like it has to be something that's believable in terms of like how he feels. Because like we're probably gonna learn a little bit of it from Kuzan. He probably, or even Garp, since we're probably gonna go back to them and see what's going on after he got captured or whatever. I can't wait for that. I've been waiting for that for a while. I can't wait to get back to that, to where they're at right now after that whole fight. But I don't know. He does it with an iron fist.
It seems like overkill.
Yeah. And it's not like he's trying to impress anybody, because usually somebody that goes over the top with things, they're trying to impress people. He's not trying to. It doesn't seem like he's trying to impress.
He's not being a kiss ass.
He's like this is just his duty, but like, why are you? I don't know, man.
Wasn't there a theory going around a little while back that one of the tattoos on his arm or his chest was a sword? So
Oh
they
yeah,
were
it was a
thinking
sword.
he might have been the leader of Sword.
Maybe it's just still his strength. Maybe he's just a good ass actor.
You are deep undercover, man. Like, I've never seen this level of acting before.
The one thing I will say is that the way that he talks to the girls, he looks at them the same way he looks at everybody. Like with
True.
a stink face, and he kind of be a little disrespectful. He kind of be talking to him a little like he's not scared of him. He be talking to shit a little bit. So he might be. That is super undercover though. Like it really is. But
Oh, I just thought of something. So remember how Saturn was talking to Bonnie and saying, "You were one of my experiments as it relates to devil fruit extracts."
right.
Do we know when he got his devil fruit power?
Nope. The only thing that I think a lot of people can think about is like they give those kind of people the
Bingo.
devil powers because they're already,
Bingo.
they're already
And if
impressive
that
and
was
talented.
infused with a disease or nanites, they have you until the day that you die. And if you decide to rebel against them, they can just kill you. The devil fruit will reincarnate and they can start this whole process over
I can
again.
see that. The thing like Kizaru, for example, Kizaru is 100. He's like, it's almost like he has no sense of self justice. Like he's just kind of
Mm-hmm.
just, oh, go out there and do that. Okay, yo. It's like you can just play shit, So I can see that. And with Rainbow too, he looks like somebody that they just gifted him that devil fruit, and it makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. Yeah, magma, ice, light, and nature, like in
And
Fujitora with
gravity.
gravity. Yeah, it's
That's
like they
crazy.
gave them that. Hmm. See,
If it
Fujitora
weren't
is somebody
for
that we can learn a
Eneru
lot
being on the moon, they might have lightning as well.
from. Right.
Grin, welcome. It's been a while, man. Hope you're doing well.
Yo, hey, what's up, man?
Thank you for coming by my stream. We're just spitballing One Piece theories. I finally did my catch-up streams recently, so it's good to see you here, even if you don't read the series. But yeah, the admirals having the level of devil fruits, and even the Sengokus, like the Buddha fruit, that is a mythical devil fruit, and you were the top of the Navy.
They said Garp, hell no. We decline, hell no.
I feel like
but he was already good enough. He got those fish.
my only kind of like counterpoint to my own theory about the devil fruits being laced with something is that Kuzan was able to defect from the Marines without any sort of like kill switch being activated.
I'm also a little surprised that they would even allow him and Akainu to have that kind of battle in the first place. Like Aokiji is a huge asset. Like him and Akainu are like, those two.
I mean, but if he won, he would have been the new Navy commander.
I know, but it's just like, why did they even allow you guys? Why did they allow you guys to fight for it? Is it because he really wanted it? It's hard for me to tell if he really, really wanted it. Maybe he did. That's why he's going a whole different route now as a pirate. You know what? Maybe. Yeah, I think it's kind of like the dragon thing all over. Or not. It's a similar thing, but like taking a completely different route from what you originally were in, because he literally joined Blackbeard.
That's crazy to me.
And they showed him in that panel too, on the last page. Like, he's a pirate. He's on the pirate side now, going for the One Piece or whatever. It was like, it's interesting.
You want to talk about change in career path? Grin, yeah, go ahead. Send us that bingo chart. We talked about Usopp earlier today. Had some interesting thoughts. One, he could die. Two, I was thinking maybe he could become the new king of Elbaf. 3, Oda could just leave him in the mud like he's been doing for the past forever.
That would be an interesting fight, because Loki, he's like the trickster, right?
Yeah,
And Usopp is like a
the
trickster as
trickster.
well, so it works. A liar and a trickster.
They just have what's it? A Shiritori battle, like Nico and Lon.
uh,
They have a lie battle, kind of like two lies, one truth, or two truths, one lie, something like that.
I have a question about Fujitora. They said that they basically did a draft for them to get new admirals. Did he was he just
Have
always
the
in the
proof
Marines, so
forward.
we didn't know, or did he just kind of like when did
Um,
he enlist? Like what is
I'm
his
trying to
origin?
think if he was promoted or if he was required to join through the draft. My
Damn, Grim,
thought
for
is
real?
that he was drafted afterwards.
I just wonder
That's
like where
probably
does his career start? Like I'm just trying to think like if he also grew up with like or was in the Marines at the time that Kainu, Dragon, or did he just
see.
kind of like what rank
hmm,
were you? Where were you in the world? You just kind of appeared out of nowhere. Green Bull, he just looks like somebody that probably was just always, in the Marines or whatever, trying to impress a Kainu and get up to that status. But Fujitora just seemed like he just kind of came out of nowhere.
Didn't they say Fujitora might have been from Wano?
I don't remember who said that.
Or just based on like his aesthetic, like the fact that he uses a katana.
Uh, maybe. Yeah. Hmm.
Huh, that's interesting. I know that the community as a whole has really been wanting a
Ah,
God Valley
nah,
flashback. I would want like a Marine training flashback. Like,
that
show me
too.
what happened with Kuzan. Show me what happened with the Kainu. Show me what
Yeah, because we only
happened
got like a glimpse of
if
that with Arc.
Dragon was there. Yeah.
We was practicing. Maybe. I think that's what would lead into that. Like they're training. Oh, we gotta go. We gotta go. Come on, guys. Because Garp, remember,
Mhm.
he heard. Oh, Roger's in. All right, we're out. Boom. So he
Gotta
probably took
go.
them. um, and he probably didn't even know about the severity of it. So now his son got exposed to all this bullshit. Kind of that, everybody.
God.
What if Fujitora was a holy knight? Oh, that's just a thought.
I would like that. Go ahead and spitball a little bit more.
Wait a
Let
minute,
me.
because he's the one he came up with the idea to abolish the warlord system, right? And he said, "All right, bet."
Correct.
I don't know. It seemed like he kind of moves on his own too. Like
A little
there's,
bit.
there's really not much to get from him because we only see him in Dressrosa and the Reverie, but he,
He does move on his own accord.
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he was trained by another guy, trained by the swordsman, the Nozuro, the elder, one of the elders,
Yeah.
the centaur. He has the slashes
Um,
scars on his face.
and maybe he decided to blind himself when he saw
Yep,
the hunting games.
yep. That's what I'm thinking. I think he was. It has to be some event that he was. Yeah,
Something
like in
traumatic,
that.
something dark, twisted.
Yep, yep. And when we see it, we're going, oh, that's how he got the scar. Like I think that's the kind of character he is. I don't think we're just going to see him. Um, or I don't think we're just not going to see it because that's a huge thing to his characterization. Oh yeah, let me repeat that, Graham.
Sorry, I've got do not
But
disturb on my phone so that way no one tries calling me. You're getting a lot
what
of
about
spam
Kizaru,
calls here
man?
recently.
What's your thoughts
Man,
on
that's
Kizaru as a
coming to
whole?
fruition. Enaru, we were just talking about him earlier. Um,
Law survives, yeah. Of course, it's like
giant
Elbaf.
power system. Okay. Okay, so that's interesting, not only because it relates to Viking mythos or like, what do they call it? Not Viking mythos, but Nordic mythos.
Nor,
But
yeah.
like, what would you consider Ragnarok in One Piece? Would you consider that
Mm.
kind of what Kaido was talking about. Would that be a good time to bring him back? Even if it's just to fight, like who would he be fighting? Is Ragnarok not the final fight? Is Ragnarok just Elbaf being destroyed? Or like interesting.
Vivi goes to the res. I can see that.
Adam tree is definitely connected to the tree of Ohara because they had the Adam and Eve trees, right?
Sanji Sims for giant ladies. That's like if you were a betting man, you were winning.
That's the free space. That's the free space. Buccaneer lore drop, I could see that. That's a good one because they are mixed with Giant's blood. So I love that Kuma's on the ship with us for now.
Luffy and John have an eating competition for sure. That's like one of the first or the last thing, depending on if they're like if they end the arc with like a feast again, you know. Jortle's descendant filled with rage. Who is that? Oh wait.
I don't know who Jortel is. I know that's someone from Nordic mythology, but Oh, another interesting kind of like tie-in for Elbaf will be the giants that are enlisted by the Marines, because they do have a few that were at Marineford.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So how do they relate? Do they recruit them? Do they steal these orphans? You know, Mother Caramel when she was doing that whole thing with Big Mom. Like, are we going to get into kind of like the child trafficking situation? Oh, he says Jortil is the person Big Mom killed when she was on Elbaf.
Oh yeah, the head, right, the old guy. So they have a descendant filled with rage. Okay.
Yeah, Big Mom's got to come back. At least her.
We even seen didn't we see what's his name? The giant on Luffy's fleet? I think we seen him when he was younger too, back in the Big Mom flashback.
Jormungand.
Yeah. So he was around her age too. So I'm assuming it'll probably be somebody that'll be interesting to see.
Maybe Loki is a descendant of Jortil?
Probably that too. Unless he's like, I kind of feel like Loki might be like a Scar situation in Lion King. Like,
you're not the true king.
Lineage, but we have to get somebody that's like close, I guess, in a way.
Could Usopp be of Giant's blood? I don't know. I'm just throwing shit out there, but
I think what we learn about the Giants is going to be huge, no pun intended. But like, I think the Giants have like a lot of. I feel like a lot of different people can be related to them. You got the Buccaneer people. I kind of thought about Uroge being like maybe giant blood / Skypian. Just the fact that he can like grow big. I don't know if it's like a technique that he's doing or a devil fruit, but if it's like a genetic thing, then maybe he might be I don't know.
We know at least one race of people was mixed with Giant's blood, that being the Buccaneers. So in theory, as long as the genetics line up, you could have other races.
Like Ors, which is Ors is a mix too, right? He's like a giant.
I think so.
Oni or
Ogre, Oni, one of the two.
Ogre. Yeah, it was Ogre. Yeah. Who the blood-stained snake is.
Wasn't there a common theory that was referring to the Red Line? Or is that a person that I'm forgetting?
I don't remember when it was brought up.
I do remember the name, but I don't know. I was thinking maybe it was the Red Line.
I feel like Elbaf might be one of my favorite islands. Like, just
seeing
stuff around.
Grin.
Ancient, yeah.
I think we meant Ors Jr., right?
Yeah, because he was smaller than Ors, but he was younger, I guess. I mean, same thing though, right? I don't think
yeah. I mean, he's derived from his dad.
And
We don't know who Yamato's mom is.
I feel like we're never gonna learn that.
Well, I'm just saying, like, in terms of we're talking about races or bloodlines being mixed, I could definitely see that being a plot point.
Human or Oni or whatever. Since Kaido's a Oni, I guess. Thought Onis was going to have like a bigger part in the story, but not really. They were just, that was just what they were. But Giant State for sure are going to have a huge role. Like, historically, that's the one race I feel like probably knows the most history. I feel like they've been the most involved in everything. We don't really have any information on that, I don't think, but it just seems like it. Because they're warriors.
Well,
they've probably been everywhere.
Saul is a member of the D clan. So again, we go back to you having knowledge and you choosing to be a part of a clan that seems more so like a mentality clan than it does more so than a bloodline clan.
Right.
But what I was also going to say is, as it relates to the gigantification ability, so if Eroge does have a devil fruit, that's now 3 devil fruits at least. And I guess you could also say 4 if you include Eneru's form, but that have gigantification-esque applications. So Bonnie's, Luffy's, Eroge's, and Eneru's.
Right. I guess will Sengoku fit that too?
Yeah, I would say yeah. So 5.
That's actually a crazy devil fruit. Like in reality, that should be like top 3. Like
I mean, you become a god, a golden god.
Fucking Buddha. Like it really could be top 1. Depends on who's writing the story, right? But like it's right next to Nika. Like it technically should be, but
yeah, on the same level.
Yep. Shit, the man marked by flame might be from God Valley too. For sure.
Do you think he might be a giant?
Fact. Maybe, because once again, Kid was looking for him. So if you're like around Elbaph area, I would assume he's in that area somewhere.
Maybe.
So potentially, maybe he is. That'd be interesting.
This is another random question. Do you think that Zunisha has always been an elephant?
Never really thought about that.
Because I know that there are like clans of elephant that, you know, walk around, are walking islands, whatever. But Zunisha seems a lot more sentient than I would guess those elephants to be. Even though elephants, truth be told, are one of the most intelligent species on the planet.
Right.
So it could go either way. But I just thought that was always an interesting idea, that he might have been turned into an elephant against his will.
I know it's not funny, but it's kind of funny. It's like, damn, why you gotta do that to him like that? Why you gotta be punished like that? Damn, man.
Eternal punishment is crazy.
Like, bro, like everybody else died, you know, like.
What was his crime that he got like, eternal punishment? And how are they still enacting that? Is it through hockey? Is it through like magic? I have so many questions.
What do you do, bro?
What do you do?
Because I don't, you see, you might be right about that, because if he was like a pet, quote unquote, or something like that, that's more of a punishment for the owner. And the fact that the owner's dead already, you can't, like, that can't really be a something in spite to do that to them. So you might be right. It might have been somebody that got turned into the elephant.
Well, because then I relate it back to Emmett. Like, has Emmett always been a giant talking robot? Like, he could have been. But I feel like there was also some, you know, I don't want to say transmutations, but just alterations of criminals into these undying beings. This suit has been alive for 1,000 years. Zunisha has been alive since the time of Joy Boy. Why are there these giant moving objects that are holding consciousness within them?
Right. You know something I seen on Twitter? I didn't read too much into the theory, but I gotta find it. But it was somebody was saying that um, something about like Emu being like a toy maker, and Joy Boy was like a toy that was made by Emu, and it has like some significance with um, like similar to like a Pinocchio and a lot of little folklore type things. It's kind of interesting. Like Joy Boy, the name Joy Boy does sound like a toy, right? Um, but I
Joy
didn't
Boy
read too
the
much
toy?
into it. But something that like rebelled against its maker.
You said
And
you
that's
saw this somewhere or someone sent
yeah, on
this to you?
Twitter. It was on
Okay.
Twitter. I forgot who did it. It's probably one. It was one of the
Hmm.
bigger One Piece. It might have been Typical Joe. It was somebody. But I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. It was a thread about it.
Huh.
But I don't know. That was kind of interesting though. Like, oh, Joy Boy was a toy that turned into a real boy, turned to a real person,
Which
and
I
they're saying
guess
Emu
could
was like
relate
a
back to
toy
what
maker.
we're saying with all these objects or like giant creatures that are getting consciousness imbued in them. Is maybe that
Kind
an
of
application of hockey?
maybe even like the Gorosei too. Like we know Emu controls them to some extent. We don't know what's
And
the
they're immortal.
significant. Yeah, we don't know if they're like if they were real people turned into that, or if like Emu created them. So
Huh.
if there is a toy theory, that would kind of remind me of Spy Kids too, the scientists that made all those creatures. Maybe it's something like that. But who
I mean,
knows?
there is precedence already in the world for this, and that's how Big Mom's Devil Fruit works with the homies.
Right. There could be some
Huh.
significance with like sugar too in Dressrosa. Like some, there could be some kind of relation there. That was like a foreshadowing, especially since the Doflamingo and Celestial Dragon is during that arc.
Yeah, that too.
Because Oda's done that a lot too, where he relates something from a previous arc that seemingly has no connection with a certain arc, but then when you really think about it, like, wait a minute, the whole concept was already created. So Nisha got the long ass legs, man. I hate
That
every
boy
time I
is
see that damn
tired.
diagram. The
That boy is
long
tired.
ass legs.
Like
Damn.
a little trunk into Wano.
But really though, it seems like yeah, you got turned into that. Yeah, maybe they did rebel against. You know what? Too. Wait a minute.
Do you think maybe that's the 20?
20 what? The
Because wasn't there like 20 heads of nations that fought
well, the
against the civilized world?
well, the 20 is where Emu's a part of. So yeah, I guess.
No, but I'm saying like if there indeed were 19 other cohorts, wouldn't you expect there to be 19 celestial dragons, not 5?
I thought there were like more lines of celestial dragons. I thought there were like 20 because the families, right? Like you have the Don Quixote, like Mosgard is Don Quixote
One
of
of the
the family.
families.
So
Yep. I'm
so
just curious
that would
like
be
why there's levels to this in terms of, because aren't the celestial dragon, or excuse me, aren't the Gorosei also considered celestial dragons, or are they on a
pretty
different,
much.
either higher or lower tier?
I think. See, that's why I think that Emu must have created them or recreated people that were real that died or something. Because why those five, like you said, and they seem like they're higher, or maybe because
Hmm.
they're like experts at their because they do have titles and
Their
roles, so
craft.
maybe they're yeah, so maybe above everybody else they have more significance. But the one thing I was going to say is that now that I think about it, um, everybody in the D clan it almost seems like they are pieces of like what do you call it in Harry Potter, the Horcrux.
Horcruxes
It kind of reminds me. I think the D clan are kind of like that, like
of Emu or of someone else?
of
Maybe
I
Joy
forgot what I
Boy?
was getting at. I was gonna say Joy. It was something about the whole toy maker theory that I was getting into.
Like, in order to make the toys move, Emu had to impart some of his soul into them.
Um. Oh, it has to do with like the whole rebellion thing. So like we know that. So say for example, so yeah, Joy Boy, right? Say if he was a toy that was made by Emu, he rebelled against Emu. Dragon
Mm-hmm.
is somebody that rebels against world government, so that's like a piece of what Joy Boy was. Luffy is literally like Joy Boy, so he's a piece of that. And then I don't know something else. What's another D clan member that maybe Joy Boy is similar to? Roger, like being the first pirate in existence, and then Roger being the king of the pirates. That's something I think there's a relation there. Law, there might be some kind of I don't know.
Medical aspect.
Yeah. Saul
Being like the
something there too.
researching.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just trying to think of something that I think they all
Hmm.
relate to Joy Boy in some kind of way or something. If that whole toy theory is like
I gotta be honest, it's the first time I'm hearing it, but I do really like
yeah,
it.
it's
I'm gonna
pretty
have to look it
interesting.
up.
I'm like, oh, that'd be very different. It kind of that's a really different. I don't think I've seen that aside from like Pinocchio, but even Pinocchio, it's not like that. Pinocchio is not, but that's like the only other time I've probably seen that. Most of the world's races came from ancient kingdom. Yeah, modern celestial dragons are descendants. Yeah, they are. I remember I used to get the two
Okay,
confused when I first learned about it. I was like,
that's what
wait,
it is. Gotcha.
yeah. But I just wonder what made them. Well, I mean, out of what just
Read.
jealousy that they're able to make all this technology and shit. So they're oh yes, kill them. But like there has to be a way better reason for them to ally against that. Maybe there was a lie that was told by Emu or somebody else that made the other kingdoms be like, yeah, let's get them
Well,
out.
because didn't the ancient kingdom, weren't they the ones that created the 3 special grade weapons?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep.
so maybe he kind of fear baited them into saying, like, oh, they have nukes over there. If we don't
Mm.
kill them first, they'll kill us. And they were just
So
trying to
it's,
work with the mother flame to try to make an eternal
mm,
energy source or something like that.
so maybe we're on some like AOT type shit, kind of
Possibly.
Titans technology,
Mm-hmm.
this side. But like, what? I don't know. It's kind of and how did those? So this is something else. I don't think we even that was never said. Like for those kingdoms, like what? So who left what? Did the ancient civilization like leave the world behind or something? Like in a way where like what was the separation? How did those two different factions become those factions? How did the 20 kingdoms ally? Like what happened before that? Were everybody together and then something happened that split a certain amount of people of other people? This like kind of reminds me of AOT in a way, like going to the walls. Everybody, those
Oh,
Eldians
I
went with the
see.
king to the walls, and so like maybe Joy Boy or maybe somebody before him, they went away from everybody because of maybe the threat. Um,
Well, maybe the ancient kingdom started to develop such a reputation of being able to, it's kind of like the Messiah in Christianity, to where you have all these people visiting Jesus, to where if something ails you, it can be fixed. So let's just say you have poor vision. Let's just say you have an incurable sickness. Let's just say that you have, I don't know, it's a little dark, but a stillborn baby. They have the technology to be able to fix anything and or create anything for that matter. So maybe that made the other kingdoms kind of like you said, either jealous or alternatively, it could have got to the point to where they were scared. They were hearing all these rumors about what this kingdom could do, and they could wipe them off the map if they wanted to. Did you see what an imperfect mother flame in Uranus was able to do to an entire island? That island is gone. A hole in the
That's kind of a
ground.
that's kind of a weird thing too, because if it was like on a jealousy thing or like they're going against them because of these weapons and stuff, it's kind of funny and ironic that you did that. Now you want the shit that they created.
Oh yeah, because you want
It's
to keep
like
your power.
it's just funny though. It's like I mean that is how real world stuff work too. People are jealous of people. They'll take things from them and then now they have it. So. But like, I feel like there should be something more to it as well. It's kind of the same thing that we talk about with kind of. It has to be more. I don't want to add too much on the older. We already made that incredible story, but like, I mean, hey, you're older. You're older. You kind of have to give us like more than just
Something.
like more than just jealousy thing or a you know.
That's why I'm really worried about Vivi, how that whole plot line is going to be resolved. At the moment, I am not confident I'm going to like that in the slightest.
For sure. So you think the original 20 came from other planets, huh? So like the opposite of Naruto, like the Otsutsuki. That's
All
actually
life
kind
came
of
from
interesting. I mean, the Gorosei are planets,
labeled
older
after
other
planets.
stars. That is interesting. And they're coming to Earth because they.
I mean, that could make sense because the Celestial Dragons, just from a design aesthetic, it's funny we say that since we just ranked the character designs in Undead Unluck today. But for the aesthetics of them, they look very much like astronauts. And they don't even want to breathe the same air as you.
You are right.
So I could see them coming from other planets. We have Eneru just up in the sky. Maybe the mother flame was for the entire solar system or the entire world, the universe, whatever you want to, quantify it as. And then I've also thought in the past that I think Luffy's dream is like he just wants to go to space or like eat lunch on the moon or something to deal with above this planet. Aliens, welcome, Sherm.
That would be real interesting though, because then it's like all this shit is happening to Earth, and then you have somebody like Joy Boy, like he in the whole Nika thing, like the whole dreams, like why, like people are so devoted to Nika. It's like you are our god, you have to protect us from
Sun God.
Right. So wait, whoa, okay, that's interesting. So what if it's essentially like they pray to the sun? That's a really old, like with the Mayans or Aztec, like years ago. That's how they they pray to the sun. A lot of religions actually start out with that. So what if that just like manifested that, and to fight against these other planets, these other aliens that are coming here trying to do this to Earth? So it's like the sun basically gave us some help. Gave us some help, I guess. So
well, maybe Nika was like the champion of this planet. Maybe it even goes on like an intergalactic scale to where you have, and I've talked to Vante about this before, but I'll let you guys know. It's something called the Dark Force theory, to where the reason why humanity in IRL has not, at least to our knowledge, for the general populace, come to the conclusion that there is life out there in the universe is something called the Dark Force theory, to where any advanced civilization with any sort of self-preservation does not want to make any sound, otherwise they will get sniffed out and hunted by a stronger force or creature in the forest that is the universe. So these celestial dragons could be conquerors. They've essentially turned a lot of the populace on this planet into a slave workforce. And I'm not going to get too far down the rabbit conspiracy hole, but one theory is that humanity in, again, IRL was initially made to be a slave force to mine out resources from the earth for gold because of how precious of a mineral resource it is for some sort of alien conquering force.
That's really interesting. Grin, I like that you brought up that because that's been a thing people have been theorizing too about like them coming from these other planets and whatnot. And I'm kind of thinking about like Marvel, like Galactus, that whole thing. I think it's kind of implemented in this series too. And then Emu, what is Emu then? The god of space? What is Emu at that point?
Emu might be the conquering captain.
So like the elder planets or the girls say are kind of like the heralds, like a Silver Surfer type thing in a way.
They could be the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Right. And it's kind of interesting too, because now that makes me think about Blackbeard again. What is his devil fruit ability? Shit, both of them, but the yummy yummy no meat. It's like a black hole, right? And that's space stuff. And what did we learn from Von Auger and Katarina Devon? That he wants to rule the world, or he wants the world. That's what they said. He wants the world. So we know that Emu and Cole wants the world. He wants the world. He has a power that can destroy the world. Two powers that can destroy the world. One that can create crazy earthquakes that literally would sink the fucking world. From what they talked about Whitebeard back in Marineford, and that's something that the sea quakes is a huge thing, which is talked about, especially now. Literally, Vegapunk talked about it, and he has the power to literally warp or like just vacuum in. I don't know if he could do it to Earth, but if the scale of the series goes that high, yeah, Blackbeard is the end all be all of the series. Put it like that. Like he's,
So kind of building off of that toy theory from earlier that you were talking about for Emu, what is Emu's endgame? Does Emu want us to live as eternal slaves on this world? Or like, I don't really get I understand that Emu has the power to end the world, and I'm guessing to start again.
Whoa.
But like, why does Emu? Is it just perpetuating the lifestyle that he's living, the power that he has?
It could be that, but now I'm starting to think. When you mentioned about Nika being like the champion of Earth, essentially, what if the Gorosei were like that too, and they lost?
Oh, so like
they're all named.
He was the king of Saturn. He was the king of.
And they just said, "Yeah, you got it, big dog." That's why they bowed to him. That's why because there was I forgot what was said. I don't know if you remember. It was before. I think it was early in Egghead.
Okay.
When we started learning about them a little bit more, like their names and their titles. I think it was Saturn or somebody said something that sounded like they weren't sure about like what Emu was doing. Oh, about like with Lelouchia. They said something like, "Isn't that like reckless?" It was along the lines of that. They're like, "Are you sure about that, Emu?" Like, huh?
Like, they did have a little bit of back talk to him. Yeah.
Yeah. So what if they are like somebody, like people that lost all these years, different years ago and shit, and
they know how powerful he is because he is a universe conquering type of force.
And then obviously Emu's trying to do the stuff for Earth, and they ain't going for it. Joy Boy, all this technology, they're not going for it. So he keeps trying to, but that's interesting. Why are you still? Well, I guess because the devil fruit thing. Maybe Earth is like a special thing with devil fruits. Like it's special to Earth, and that's why they're still here trying to end everything, but they couldn't. After Joy Boy died, obviously you would think that they were already conquered it and left or whatever, you know. So
I think what's interesting is that we got on this line of conversation, and it's completely tangential to what I was going to bring up in terms of like what is Emu's end game. And I keep thinking about him looking at that poster of Vivi. Maybe he is looking indeed for a queen, and Vivi just kind of fits because she's a descendant of Lily, like a potential partner for him to rule over the universe. Could Emu be lonely? I don't feel like that's outside of the realm of possibility, even for like a universe conquering entity, especially when you have the power. Let's just incorporate the toy making theory into here for a bit. When you're able to create life, can you not then, a little bit less, grapey than Zeus, the the Greek mythos, but can't you then just live out your life with your creation atop the world? If you have the power to create life, if you have the power to create a partner, like, is God lonely? Is the end all be all to this line of thinking?
what is like a really dark, like uh, a really dark twist to like the. So what I'm getting at is like, what if Emu is essentially like God in this case, and
Okay.
Earth. So like, like Christianity or most religions, like God usually is like this all powerful, almighty, all loving. I'll just go with Christianity, and we understand that people here, are sinful people. So what if that's like a play on that in this series where Emo looks at Earth as like sinful people who aren't obeying him, but in reality, they're not. We know that they're not bad people. They're just people trying to survive and live. And what if this is just like a natural thing, kind of like what Undead Unluck? We don't really know yet, but it seems like the way that things are in that series. I won't want to spoil anybody, but you get my point. Like, I think it might be like a whole twist on what we know of, like in religion and real life, where, because like look at Emu for example. He's always in the room, always have like a butterfly landing on his finger, all this like nature. It looks lovely in there. For somebody that's supposed to be this dark, evil being, it's kind of interesting that you have this aesthetic. So I think everything is a twist on real life aesthetic. Like, yes, it looks pleasant around him, but he's actually a horrible person. Yes, these people on Earth are disobeying him, but they are actually not bad people. There's a lot.
Grin, that's an interesting thought. I said a little bit earlier in the stream, and I will stay steadfast in this opinion. I feel like the One Piece has to be sentient. That's the one thing to me is I feel that with my full heart that it has to be sentient. If it is just a piece of paper, like what would that do to Blackbeard if he were to find it? I feel like it's got to be a little bit more than just a peace treaty written on a piece of parchment. That's my opinion, though. Or what if Emu is from the deep sea? That's why I do have a theory that Emu is a fish man. I understand we can't see Emu yet, typical villain stuff, but I don't know, man. I could very much see Emu being the fishman, and the reason why the fishmen they basically are cursed. Like, nobody likes them. they keep getting ridiculed and turned to slaves and all this other stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if he sold out his whole clan of people, especially if you're a part of the 20 kingdoms. Like, Emu had just as much power as everybody else. What put Emu ahead of everybody? What is something that he's willing to do that nobody else is willing to do? Sacrifice people. That's the only thing I can think of. I would say that, or be able to sink the world as he pleases into the depths of the ocean. Because I'm just thinking, like, what's his end game? if the people rebel, if it gets to a point to where he has to pull the trigger and sink the world, there has to be a way for him to be able to start anew. He can't just continuously just sink the planet even further. That doesn't make sense.
Maybe Emu is a manifest. Did we ever think about this? Maybe Emu is a manifestation of the sea, like literally. It's like trying to make the
will of
world
the
into
sea.
this ocean. Yeah, because you have these devil fruit users that's doing this taboo thing somehow. You have all these people, all these pirates, everybody is fighting and doing all this chaotic shit, just like in real life. And Emu is literally just a manifestation of the sea, where it's because it's still like, I feel like whatever obsession or whatever love Emu has for Lily, I think it's maybe Emu tried to coexist with people, and then when she was not fucking with him, he doubled down on everything. He's like, I gave you guys a chance. If she would have went with me, none of you. I think, see, that's the villain 101 right there. If you would have did this thing here, I wouldn't have done any of this stuff to you people. She did that, and now I have to do this. And plus, she went with Joy Boy, this guy who is seen as God when I'm supposed to be seen as a god. I think it might be one of those situations, honestly.
It could be.
Which would be pretty fucking
one
crazy.
of my favorite color spreads that Oda's done recently was the jellyfish one. Have I talked to you about jellyfish before? I can't remember. They're one of my favorite creatures, like, on this planet.
I don't think we talked about it, but yeah, jellyfish are.
So there are some species of jellyfish, and it's not a lot of them, but I think there's at least a couple that are functionally immortal. As long as there's no damage to them, they do not die. And the way that we see Emu's kind of cloak just flowing, and then when I was reminded of jellyfish with that color page, and you're talking about an embodiment of the sea itself, I could see Emu being a jellyfish fisherman. Because they're also really beautiful. A few of the species of jellyfish, they have like bioluminescence. They're very regal in the way that a lot of their tendons. It has the power to paralyze you. It looks almost angelic.
Kind of like a butterfly for land.
Kind of like a butterfly.
You know? Yep. Like, and that's interesting. Like, they look pleasant. Both the jellyfish and the butterfly looks pleasant to the eye.
But oh boy, there's some poison behind those kind exteriors.
I just really try. Like, I'm trying to think which. We talked about like maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 different Emu theories. All of them might not even be true. That's how good Oda is. But I kind of feel like it has to be one of the 5. Either he is like just like God, like essentially God, and he's like a Galactus, just having different heralds do his bidding. He's either the manifestation of the sea. He's either a fisherman. He's either just a regular king of the kingdom that ends up gaining his power, or a toy maker. like what else could there be? I think it has to be one of those things.
And then let's not forget when Emu was staring at what seemed to be a museum piece for maybe Joy Boy's hat, straw hat.
Oh.
Down, beneath. What were you gonna say?
I said something funny when I reacted to that chapter. Well, no, it was recent. One of the recent Emus based chapters. I was like,
okay,
why he went to Mary Draw 200 years ago, because he wanted his hat back. I want my hat.
Oh, Emmett's hat. You're thinking that was Emmett's hat? Okay.
Yeah, because he's big. I'm like, what if it was? That's why he went there.
Yeah.
Like, I need my hat back, man. I said, hey, I want my hat. Give me my hat. It could be somebody else's, but it could be his too.
No, that could definitely be his hat. Just similar to kind of how Ace gave Little Oars Jr. the straw hat.
You know what? Personally, I really like the Fishman theory and him committing taboo and pretty much cursing them because especially since we've seen this whole pentagram weird ritualistic stuff because like out of the 20 kingdoms, one of them surely should be Fishman. Like Fishman at some point had to have
Has to
been,
be. Has to be.
a part of the world at some point. They had to have been at
And it
some
had to
point.
be
It's not
one
like
of
they,
the greater peoples. Like
yeah.
the abilities of fishmen, and not to sound too much like Arlong here, they are up and above,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to like aquatic abilities, than
Yep.
any other form of life that we've seen so far.
What if? Hmm. That is interesting because, like, Emu or Umi being sea, like that's a thing. I think that's absolutely a thing. And the fact that you're sinking the world, you have to be a fishman because how the fuck would you survive? I mean, sure, you could say you live somewhere in the sky, but like, I mean, just the name and the whole, I think that that's a thing. But it's kind of funny though because if he did like sold out his own people, it's interesting. I guess maybe he still feels a way about them, and he's like, well, when I do sink the world, you guys will be okay. So it's in a weird way. It's like I'm doing this for you guys. Ultimately, you know how villains do that, where like they do something pretty taboo or just bad, but then they're like, but wait, I gave you this. Like, look, you have the world back. It's yours. Like, and then obviously there's gonna be fishmen that are with us at like Jimbei. It's like, nah, man, we suffered for years. Now you're saying, oh, now the world is ours. No, fuck you. So I
So
think that
here's a
could be a fun
question.
dynamic.
If he does sink the world into another, let's call it a water age, the fishman would be fine, right? Unless he poisons the
Yeah,
water.
they'll be fine. 100%. It was funny memes going on when Vegapunk said that. They're like, damn, fishmen are up. Like, them boys are up
Stocks
now.
are going up.
Because it's
Buy
true. Like, I
fishman
really,
stocks.
when you brought up Arlong, like, honestly, like, when Arlong
Yes.
said that, I'm like, okay, he's going through the series now. It's like, okay, you're lying. I mean, you're not lying, but like, when is there ever going to be a time where you will be like the pinnacle? But now, yeah, they will be, So
They
like,
can live underwater. They can breathe air above water.
mhm,
Grin
which would
said
be pretty
something
cool.
that I loved in chat. He said maybe the fishmen were the original species of this planet, or like the inheritors of this world. He doesn't
Could
think that
be.
they're part of the 20 kingdoms.
Hmm.
So they might have been like the native people, and then the 20 kingdoms might have all been, from various parts of the galaxy, to where the reason why there's so much diversity, giants. Let's just say, for example, that I think in astrophysics, it's kind of like if there's more oxygen on the world, like the objects
It's
or
bigger.
excuse me, the creatures grow bigger. So they might
Yeah.
have come from a planet to where there was a higher density of oxygen. Like if you have the long arm or the long leg people, maybe there was a swampy part of the universe. If you have I don't know, maybe like the Sky Island people, maybe they were from a windy planet.
Hmm. So you think we're it's basically the story of America, the United States of America, the native people. Yeah, I mean,
I
and they
mean,
passed it out, and now they're like, the whole
mhm,
reservation thing, and you got the
discriminated
fishermen only in
against.
their own district. Hey,
Yeah.
and they some are in the world, but they're still treated. Hey, that might be it. Might be similar.
So
Then you have obviously Joy Boy's apology to the fisherman. Oh,
you
because he's
see,
not from here, and he's like, I am so sorry that my people or within the 20 kingdoms or whatever did this to you. Oh, you know what? That gives the reason why the 20 kingdoms will even fight against Joy Boy. Like like, so you're betraying us for these people, and now you're going against us. Because I was trying to think of like, what's a good reason as to why they would even want to fight the ancient civilization? Like, why? Or maybe they came here and he stayed, and it was his mission to maybe call it like conquer. and then he didn't, and then they left, and then they came back and seen that he built this big civilization because he had to have already built the civilization too for them to even come back and fight against him. So maybe it was something like that. He might have been tasked to do that, and kind of like remind me of Dragon Ball with Goku, like tasked to conquer the planet, but things
He
happened
could have
and he ended up growing. And
he could have also given them those 3 ancient weapons as a form of self-preservation. Because if they're more so like the native people, like they're underdeveloped, they don't necessarily have a lot of scientific developments. Like, imagine if the Native Americans in the United States were given iron, if they were given
Right.
swords instead of just flint rocks and bows and arrows and tomahawks.
Right.
They would have put up such a better fight against the conquistadors, and they might have survived. They might have been the dominant culture in this continent if it had not been for the technological disadvantage they had. So Joy Boy might have given them that as kind of like an olive branch. Like, hey, I know we're invaders on this planet, or we're not naturally supposed to be here, but our planets are all gone. We have to be here. We have to live here, or otherwise we die. It's kind of similar to, again, kind of relating it back to Attack on Titan. Don't all things deserve to live? Like, just because you call a different god, or you look a little different, or you speak a little different, doesn't mean that you don't still have the right to live.
Right.
And there's a fixed amount of resources in this world. So maybe this is just the next planet that they decided to utilize.
I really do like that theory. Because, like, why would Joy Boy apologize? Why would they even fight against Joy Boy? Maybe he was somebody that came here, he was tasked to colonize this planet, and that didn't happen. And that's where they're still here. It's like, we need to get this done now. Whatever. I don't know why they would need to do that, but maybe. I feel like that gives Jinbei a good thing at the end of the story too, where he's like the leader of the fishmen and he's with Joy Boy, right? Jinbei being, see, so in the past, once we learn more about the past, we're going to see the leader of the fishmen and Joy Boy, and I mean Jinbei. What's his literal nickname? Is First Son of the Sea. It's like a descendant of, maybe he is a direct descendant of the leader from back then with Joy Boy or whatever. But that's an interesting nickname to give him, right? First Son of the Sea. Like,
and obviously, like the whole
like
pun on son, son of the sea.
Then you have Roger's crew. They had Tom. He created the Oral Jackson, and maybe Luffy's crew is just they're destined. Like we're completing the right crew for the. I'm trying to think of something. So with that, if the humans were originally from these other planets, would that technically mean that? Well, actually, no, never mind. I was gonna say, does that mean that more of them would be celestial dragons? But nah, I think some of them were just okay. So
Johnny's a celestial dragon.
People that joined him. Matter of fact.
Well, yeah, I think that's kind of like Zunisha, like Emmett. Like, there's people that joined Joy Boy's side.
Right. You can even think of it like a, like just like when we talk about the Native Americans, like when it comes to America versus, like with the Revolutionary War, right? That's kind of like that. People joined and came and they started the colonies, and then they said, you know what? What's going on? Let's go with the funding. What's going, then there's beef starts with that. So I think it might be a similar thing with that as well. And some people join Joy Boy, and that's how we have the people who aren't celestial dragons in the world. And the planet started to, because there's obviously more people who aren't celestial dragons in One Piece than are. So that means that the other kingdoms probably left the planet for a while. Once they, just like in real life, when they were like, okay, what's going on with you guys at the colonies over there? What are you guys doing? What's going on? Well, don't know, man. We're gonna rebel.
Here's a question.
That's how that works.
Do you think that all celestial dragons are immortal?
All no, no.
Do you think that there is a way for a celestial dragon to gain immortality then?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody can, but I get what you're saying. You're saying like, I mean, I guess the girls they kind of have that. Maybe they're like a pseudo immortal. Like, I think there's ways to kill them, but not typical ways to kill them. Oh, and celestial dragons. I mean, we've seen them die. Like Dofi's dad. I mean, he killed him. Um, I think Mosgard is dead now. Didn't Garland kill him or like slice him or something?
It was assumed that he carried out his execution, but I don't think we ever saw it like on panel. The reason why I bring that up is because with Zunisha, kind of going back to that conversation, Zunisha seems to have an eternal punishment. I don't think that Zunisha's people are immortal. I think that the punishment is now immortal. But I'm thinking Emu has the power via a godlike ability to impart immortality to people.
Not gonna lie, shout out to them for even trusting Joy Boy so much and tagging along with him if they were part of the 20 Kingdoms. Because that is risky. You're like, okay, we're gonna go with this guy. But so that would basically mean that Joy Boy is a celestial dragon then? Originally?
I think that's kind of what I'm talking myself into.
I can see that. Stories do that all the time. Like, what? Joy Boy was a celestial dragon? What? And then you realize,
no, say it ain't so. All the celestial dragons we know are trash. But except you're cool. F you.
That'd be interesting because that brings in more of like title. These titles don't matter. When you keep saying like when people, oh, I want to be a celestial dragon. You're like, okay, what does that mean then? Because Joy Boy was one. What, or like.
I think it's all context. I think at this point, a celestial dragon means more than it used to. A celestial dragon just means you came from the skies. You were a traveler. Like it could have been a euphemism for astronauts. Like a celestial dragon just meant that you were an astronaut.
Right. It's kind of like real world shit. Like, oh, like all these different races don't mean shit until somebody incorporated racism. It's like, oh, I'm better than you because I'm this. But it's like in reality, we're just people. Just so I think it is one of those things. It didn't mean shit back then, but now it means something because of whatever Emu and Co did. That'll be pretty interesting. Matter of fact, that makes me think. This is kind of funny to think about. You know how like in Fishman Island we learned that there's different types of fishmen. Like there's the merfolk, and then there's people who are like half like So
it's a
like a human and fish hybrid.
Yeah.
So that goes. I feel like it gives more merit into like Joy Boy being from the 20 Kingdoms. He branched off of his folks. They just like in real life when it came to Native American people in America. It's just like literally any type of when it comes to colonizing. It's always been like that. And like integrate. I guess that makes sense.
Well, and you can even get further down the line in terms of Buccaneers are somewhat of a derivation of a species and giants. We think maybe humans, but it could be something else. So there could honestly be a lot of these Punnett squares to where you have mixing of races, and that might have been super taboo for these pure-blooded celestial dragons. And Grin, I did see your question. why did they call them celestial dragons and not celestial people? I think because, and it was confirmed in this world during the Punk Hazard arc, that dragons did exist. I think these dragons might have been the vehicle to which they traveled from planet to planet. And I think that eventually they were killed off. I think that is one of the species that was eventually eradicated. Might have been from Emu. Emu might have said, okay, well, you're not going anywhere else now. Like, you can't just go to another world if you don't like how I'm running things here.
I feel like celestial dragon might be like it might technically mean like celestial giant, and these people are like, so they derive from the leaders of their planets, which are the planets, the elder planets like Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, all of them.
Yeah.
I think dragons just means like your celestial being. I don't know, but it could be something else because dragon is a very specific thing. Why wouldn't you just call them celestial people, being, or deity?
There's
or
a sense of
entity,
superiority about it. Again, if we want to talk about how they feel about the common folk, like dragon is one of the most like powerful sounding and like most powerful type of species there is. Like I can't think of another one that's like, oh, a dragon pales in comparison to the squid.
You're right. I never thought about that. Dragon is like the most, like the highest.
Like what else? What else can you think of? Like, I honestly don't know.
But like every time when they say stuff like tiger's wrath, I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty big. Or lion's wrath, oh yeah, that's pretty big. But dragon, it's above that. It's up there, but that's above that. Damn, we're theorizing. We can make a lot of theory videos out of this. But of course, a lot of people have also talked about these. But there's some stuff that people haven't talked about. But like I said, it makes so much sense why Joy Boy would even apologize, because it sounds like whenever I've seen that, I was like, it sounds like he's apologizing on behalf of his people that are causing them this, because it's not like he's apologizing because he did something wrong. It doesn't seem.
It didn't seem like a personal apology. It felt like an apology, like you said, on behalf of people.
Right, and then the Noah's Ark, like it's. I wonder. So, do you think that he was able to maybe take the survivors of the war down there or something with that ship? So his people, the ones who tagged along with him to stay on Earth.
Maybe
that's how they integrated.
He was aware of Emu's plot to do a great reset. And that was the only way to save the people who could not breathe underwater.
Right.
Because why is Fishman Island encased in a oxygen bubble?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That to me is always, like, don't get me wrong, it's one of the coolest things that Oda's ever thought of. But functionally speaking, the Fishmen would have no purpose to make their island out of oxygen underneath the water.
Yeah, that's actually kind of interesting. So he took the survivors down there.
I think so.
And of course, people survived on top of the surface, but like they became slaves. Or some of them might have been able to survive, but they didn't care to attack them because they were like offshoot folks. Like think of the people that the Chopper, the island that he went to.
They're powerless. They're powerless. They're savages. They're country bumpkins. They're of no threat to us.
So maybe that was the case. Maybe they, he only got to save certain people, take them down there. I can see.
I just thought of something. I just thought of something about
the high standing.
What if he took all the warriors down with him?
So, what do you mean, the warriors down there, or like to die with him? What do you mean by down with him?
Noah's Ark. Oh no, I'm buffering.
Uh-oh.
On Noah's Ark.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Do you remember what was at the top of the palace?
No.
A
Wait.
dragon.
A dragon. Okay.
There was a dragon in like gold.
Right. Yep.
Just saying.
Wait. You know what, too, that's kind of interesting? Oh, okay. Now I'm thinking about devil fruits again.
Okay.
For sure, Grin. For sure, Grin. You can hop in when we
Oh
do
yeah,
one of
yeah.
the streams, for sure.
Not tonight. So we're about to wrap this up in about 10 minutes. But
one of these days,
absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. Go ahead. Devil fruits.
What was I saying?
Kind of how they pull people down towards, the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah. So, what do you think about that now? After all the stuff that we talked about, why exactly would they want to do that? Is the Earth essentially like sentient, and it's like, I understand that these people are good people from your people, but at the same time, they still are your people. Like, I don't know. You guys are just using my home, me, as a battleground of chaos. And he's like, okay, sure, you can do what you want to do, but if you drown, your ass is mine. I'm just gonna leave it like that. I'm just gonna stand by and just let it happen.
So here's the thing, and Grin, if you're heading out, thank you for joining so much. Thank you for all of the comments.
For sure.
Enjoy the rest of your night. So I think it depends on who called them devil fruits. Was it the people who initially ate them, or was it the people who, upon noticing that these powerless people now have power, were like, oh no, that's a devil? Like, you wanted to hold on to some sort of power. Do you get kind of where I'm going with this?
It kind of sounds like it. Okay, I can give two answers to it. It could be well, it depends. Maybe it was like the Earth, like a sentient Earth because like, like Luffy, Roger, Shirahoshi, Momo, they're like able to talk to the Sea Kings
or
whatever.
Voice of all things. Yep.
Yeah, what the voice of all things is actually like ultimately the sea, the Earth in general, specifically the sea, because the world's mostly water or whatever, right? What if maybe that is the thing that named it that? Because like, okay, you guys are doing some taboo shit, eating a fruit and developing powers out of whatever you did
that you normally should not have.
Technology, exactly. Or it was from the 20 Kingdoms, aka Emu and Co. They called it that because like in like the Amish people in real life, how they say everything's like of the devil, like the world, like the modern world is of the devil.
Yeah.
Everything that like us on these phones right now, or computers or whatever.
Anything dealing with electricity. Yep.
It's of the devil. So what if it's Emu and them saying, oh, look at them getting these powers, doing this, and making a deal with the devil, quote unquote. Yeah. To get on our level, because it seems like the 20 Kingdoms are 100%. They're all different beings, like you said, giants. You have the Skypian people, Lunarians. You have fucking robots, big ass animals, like a lot of freaky, weird, different races of people. It seems, right? So like maybe everything that Joy Boy and his his company did, they look at it as like taboo to them too, because for one, they're trying to mimic and replicate them. Like, even think about Zoan devil fruits, right? They seem very similar to like like the Goro said, they're like animalistic, chimera looking weird, creatures. And then you have all the technology that they're making and the ancient weapons that they have. It's like Joy Boy took everything that the 20 Kingdoms had and built it all into one civilization. The robots are probably actual like beings, like a race of people. And it's not that he created E-Myth or they created no, it's like an actual person. And Vegapunk is literally, he was recreating everything of like actual races of people. Because look, we have the Seraphim, which are Lunarians mixed with all this DNA from like the people. So, and we're replicating all these things. You even go to Impel Down, right? The what do you call them?
You beat me to it. I was going to talk about them. Yeah. They're like the failed creations of the Gorosei.
Right. So you have all these like different creatures, and then the devil fruits allow people to be like a different creature of a person. So I think once again, it's like a twist on everything where it's like we're looked at. So like you know, us people, One Piece who are celestial dragons are looked at as like the ones who are doing the taboo, even though it's
Well, and
like,
then full circle
which I
with
guess they
what
kind of are.
Dr. Vegapunk was theorizing about. He said devil fruits are just like dreams being realized.
Yeah.
Like people dream about whatever they dream about. You want to dream about flying, you'll turn into a bird. And then just the way that people initially are taking their imaginations, and then you relate that back to Bonnie and like how she gets her Gear 5 Nika form. That wasn't really explained other than, oh, if I just think it, then it'll happen. The
Right.
imagination aspect of how you bring something from the metaphysical to the physical, I think is the prime essence of devil fruits. And
That's interesting.
that aspect of bringing the imagination into the physical, I think is why, pardon me, that Emu and his side thought that it was taboo. Like you shouldn't be able to do that. And that sort of lessening or kind of like an evening out of the playing field would make you feel super anxious. It would make you feel like I don't want that to be possible. I want to get rid of that.
Right. It gives them a reason too to like fight against them. Because like technically speaking, we look at it as like, damn, why did they jump the ancient kingdom like that? Were they just jealous of what they made? But it's way more than that. It's because for one, you're mimicking and doing forbidden taboo shit, trying to mimic us, and Joy Boy's doing that so he can help these people be able to like maintain that, you know, all the stuff that they have and to pass that down, because the numbers, they're outnumbered. You know, it's only a select few people that came with him, or whatever people he had that came there. Some of them died. He had to allow some of them to live in Fishman Island, and then other ones were just here on Earth or whatever. But the other side of it too is like, remember the whole thing about what does the D stand for when it comes to the D clan, and a lot of people say it's either dreams or it's like something that's like, so the Celestial Dragons look at the D as like what would they think, like destruction,
devils,
devils. So dreams and devils. And you see Blackbeard got introduced.
He's got both sides of it.
About dreams.
Talk about dreams,
but he also could be looked at as a damn devil because of his dreams. And he's very much so into that, like actually in both versus like a Luffy or anybody. In reality, Joy Boy and other D clan members like that, they're not doing anything bad. But Blackbeard actually, he literally signifies both sides, the dream and the devil.
I would actually kind of like it, and I'll ask you after I state my opinion. I would like it if the D clan actually had two different meanings. If it had dreams and devils. I
think it does. I think it's from whoever's perspective. If you're a Celestial Dragon, you will look at him as a devil. If you're like anybody else, you'll look at him as a dream. We're doing what we want to do. Like, I'm not doing anything wrong. Like Luffy's dream, whatever his dream is, even though he's a pirate, so they look at him like, oh, you're a pirate, you're a fucking devil, you're a bad person. But in reality, we know who Luffy is as a reader. He's just somebody that's trying to achieve his dream, but they look at him as a devil, a pirate. So that's why the series is so interesting, because pirates typically are looked at as people who are criminals, you know, thugs. They're thugs, they're sea thugs.
And I would appreciate that.
But it's both.
I would appreciate that from Oda's perspective in terms of why he's keeping this a mystery for so long, because this would relate directly to Emu, that whole background, that whole motivation, and for what that means for our side. So we've almost exclusively seen D member clans or D clan members be upstanding, or at least more so on the side of good, objective good. But then you look at Blackbeard, for example, then you look at Rocks. We can't necessarily say that is the same thing. But also, villains are people too. They have their own dreams. Now, it might not be the dreams that everyone else shares, and you could also label them as devils, but it's also you get to pick what the interpretation or connotation of the D means to you. And then we, once again, final tie back. it relates to the imagination and the dreams. It relates
Right.
to you bring whatever you imagine into the world based on your interpretation and your morals.
You know, something else that's kind of interesting that makes me go back to Akainu. So if he does know the truth, maybe he's that kind of, you know, like in real life, there's people who are trying to, especially when it comes to like race stuff, just all around the world. There's always that person that wants to like try to appease to that authority. I think maybe what he's trying to do is like prove or show that because he would have to be a descendant from like the Joy Boy people, like those people that are that left with him or that were punished or whatever, you know, or casted out. It might even be a religious thing to that, but like inspiration. But like maybe he's trying to do the reverse of what Joy Boy did. He's trying to fix, quote unquote, fix everything because the way that he hears it is like, you know what? Maybe Emo and them are right because he came here and betrayed them. Maybe the way that he's seen the story was like it made it pointed out like they are the devils instead of the whole dreamer perspective. So I'm just trying to see how exactly can he know everything and still side with them. So maybe it has to do with like he's playing the role where he's like he's trying to fix all of that. Like he's trying to build the build the bridge back with them because there's a disconnect. Like he thinks, oh, my ancestors came here and like pretty much destroyed the alliance with them, the 20 kingdoms.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to fix that. And he is a bridge if that's the case because he's not a celestial dragon. At least we don't. Yeah, he's not a celestial dragon, and he's not a Egghead member. But he most likely is a descendant from that kind of those people. So maybe that's what he's trying to do. He thinks that his absolute justice is to fix everything. That's why he knows everything. Like the reason why we keep saying maybe he's playing undercover. Maybe he is. Maybe he's trying to do everything for the betterment of everybody, but he has to do the most outrageous things to get. He's doing a lot basically. He's trying to prove his worth. I'm not a bad this person, and
I would love that. My only concern is that entire scenario depends on which version of the story he was told. Because there's always two sides to every story. So if he only knows the one side of the story, now it would be great if Dragon told him the other side, or Garp told him the other side, or if he just found it out somehow. But I don't feel like the Celestial Dragons or even Emu would be inclined to tell him both sides.
Nope. Because I really do think they told him, and he looks at it as like, oh, they betrayed them, built this whole civilization to take them down because they're rebelling against them. And these are like bad people. Like, why are you trying to rebel against? Like, I think he looks at it like this, right? Since there's 20 different kingdoms, they're all different races of people. He looks at it as like, why are you trying to break the unity that they have? What are you doing? Why are you getting away from that?
They're able to coexist.
Yeah, like, what are you doing? Why are you messing up a really good thing that's going on? But I wouldn't blame him for thinking like that. If you learned that side of the story, like, what are you doing? It's like in real world, right? Imagine if there was like 20 nations that came together, and you would think, oh,
let's just use the UN as an example.
Yeah, exactly. The UN. Oh, that's good. Wow, we're
a coalition, common interest.
It's like, and then somebody breaks away from it, which is literally happening right now with different countries building their own. That's crazy to say. It really is happening right now with like Russia, China. So there's that, and then it's like the way that I kind of looks at it is like, well, why are you trying to mess up that alliance? It's like everybody in this universe is okay. So why are you guys trying to ruin that? Because he does come off as somebody that acts like
mightier than thou.
Something. Well, I just think he's acting like the pirates are ruining something that can be really good. And he wants to make. He's a MAGA. He wants to make the One Piece world great again.
He does have the hat. I'm just kidding.
Hey man. I do think it might be something like that. 'Cause I'm just trying to think of a good reason why someone like him who knows everything would still side with them. Like, are you stupid, or did you hear one side of the story that sounds, you know? I mean, if somebody came to you, like when we talk about the UN, and you heard about nations breaking off of that, initially you're like, okay, so why did that happen? What happened? Why did that nation do that? Is it because they feel like they can build a better alliance, or did the UN push them out for a certain reason? It's kind of hard to tell. So for a
Either
Kainu,
way, yeah.
maybe he looks at it like, well, it makes absolutely no sense for Joy Boy and company to leave them. Like, what are you doing? And then you build a civilization to fight against them. What are you doing? And then there's a voice entry. And it's like, well, I don't know. It might be something like that. He's the reverse Joy Boy.
Yeah. If he has agency over his own body, who's to say?
Right.
But I think we'll leave it there tonight, guys. I say guys, there's one viewer. Thank you so much, Vontae, for joining. This was an incredible discussion. It was a pretty good chapter. I'm not going to rank it. I lied. I'll probably rank it like a 6 or a 7. Like, it was pretty cool. Wasn't anything earth-shattering. Earth-shattering, not shadowing. It's late, guys. It's almost midnight. No, but I'm talking about the Yami Yami no Mi. Anyway, thank you so much for joining, both Vontae and all the viewers that we had tonight. I will try to be here every week, maybe a little bit earlier next week. I had to wait this week because of a shoulder injury, but hopefully you guys will see a little bit more consistency from this channel. So, yeah. Anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
No, just come through again, guys. One Piece, as you can see, it's a lot that we can talk about, and we also have really lengthy discussions about Undead Unluck on our channel, Mugen Eclipse. So show up for that every Sunday. Literally, pretty much both of these every Sunday.
Yeah,
just about, you know. So pull up for that, and yeah. So peace.
Okay. Thanks for joining, guys. I don't have an outro, so bye-bye.